Chapter 925. Wei Xiaotian, the most powerful man in Jiangbei City, was dead. He was buried at the peak of Tiandang Mountain, sharing the same fate as his son. At this moment, Zhou Yonglin shuddered. He suddenly realized why his father, the head of the Zhou family, Zhou Chongkong, treated Tianyang so respectfully. It was not only because Tianyang had saved Zhou Chongkong, but also because of Tianyang's strength. If he could kill Wei Xiaotian, the head of the Wei family, what was the Zhou family to him? Even the Lu family and the Tang family might not be a match for Tianyang. It was hard to imagine that such a young man could possess such terrifying strength. Master Yang, Zhou Yonglin's teeth were chattering as he looked at Tianyang in fear. For my father's sake, I'm not close to Zhou Chongkong, Tianyang said calmly. Zhou Yonglin's face instantly froze. It was as if he had been sentenced to death. Lu Xiaoyun, who was standing at the side, sighed as if he had accepted his fate. Kill me or torture me as you wish. Do you think I'll spare your life if you pretend to be so carefree? Tianyang glanced at Lu Xiaoyun from the corner of his eye, a faintly discernible smile hanging from the corners of his mouth. Lu Xiaoyun was no fool to be able to reach his position. He knew that his value to the Lu family was indeed extraordinary. However, it would be a loss for him to offend the head of the family for his sake. For a big family like the Lu family, the most important thing was their own interest. The family's interests were paramount. Everything else was just empty talk. Therefore, when Tianyang displayed the strength to defeat Wei Xiaotian, Lu Xiaoyun's life no longer belonged to him. You do have a bit of talent, but it's nothing much. Tianyang's lips curled into a smile. Lu Xiaoyun's mouth twitched when he heard that. A little? Nothing much? Although his talent was not as good as Tang Qingquan's, he was still one of the best in Jiangbei City. In Tianyang's eyes, he was still so unbearable? However, if I want to find an underling, I only need one. Between you and Tang Qingquan, who will you choose? Tianyang said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingquan shuddered. He looked at Tianyang as if he was looking at the devil's smile. This method of extermination was too vicious. There was only one, which meant that between Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingquan, only one could survive. In this way, no matter who survived in the end, they were bound to offend the other family, and Tianyang's hatred would be equally divided between them. Get over here. At this moment, Tianyang raised his eyebrows and waved his hand. Those who wanted to jump off the peak of the Tiandang Mountain to escape were called back. He was completely powerless to resist. You guys have some value. Your talent isn't that great. No matter how you think about it, you can't threaten me. However, these two are different. You guys go back obediently and inform them. As for Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingquan, go ahead and fight. Tianyang smiled slightly. Hearing this, the surviving young masters' hearts trembled. They could survive? Thank you for your kindness, Grandmaster Yang. The Han family will remember this for generations to come. The young master who wanted to run immediately knelt down and kowtowed 3 times respectfully as he said loudly. When the others saw this, they followed suit and knelt down without Tianyang's pressure. Their faces were full of expressions of relief. Some people looked at Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingquan, revealing a trace of sympathy for the loss of both of them. In the past, although Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingquan were high and mighty, they were still on the same level as them. Now, however, they could only crawl and tremble in front of the same person. They were going to be even more miserable. They still had to kill each other. I heard that Lu Xiaoyun seems to be interested in Tang Qingquan. On the way down the mountain, a young master whispered. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted in a panic. Shut up. Don't say anything. Reporting down the mountain is the right thing to do. What if the devil heard this and thought that they were trying to absolve them? If that was the case, they would all die. Yes, yes, yes. Hearing this, the young master immediately nodded and ran away, not daring to speak again. In less than 3 minutes. On the entire Tiandang Mountain, only Zhou Yonglin, Lu Xiaoyun, Tang Qingchuan, and Tianyang were left. There were also more than 90 corpses. On the other hand, Zhou Yonglin's expression was complicated. If he had stood up for Tianyang when he was being bullied by Wei Yunhai, would he have been able to avoid the disaster of death? Unfortunately, there were no ifs. 2 dead, 1 alive. I don't care what happened in the middle. Whether it's killing or suicide, the result will be out in 15 minutes. Tianyang said indifferently. His expression was calm, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. For someone at Wu Zun's level, this group of Sea of Soul Realm geniuses were indeed insignificant. They were not much different from ants. Master Yang, Zhou Yonglin said tremblingly. You see, however, before he finished speaking, Zhou Yonglin felt that his chest was suddenly pierced through by a chill. The next moment the chill was pulled away. Zhou Yonglin's blood also spurted out. You! Zhou Yonglin turned his head in disbelief and saw Tang Qingchuan's resentful expression. Don't blame me, this guy forced me. Tang Qingchuan roared and stabbed the dagger into Zhou Yonglin's body again. Stabbed again, pulled out again. Zhou Yonglin still wanted to say something, but he felt his vision blur and fell down. Even until his death, he could not believe that the woman he loved would treat him like this. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change at all. At this time, Lu Xiaoyun's expression also changed a lot. Then he sighed. It turns out that the fairy-like Miss Tang is just an illusion. It's funny that I thought Miss Tang was really perfect. Forget it. Lu Xiaoyun shook his head and then condensed the vital essence in his hand. Since I liked you before, then don't let me see me die in your hands. The next moment, Lu Xiaoyun's palms slapped toward his forehead. He was actually going to commit suicide. Seeing this, Tang Qingchuan's expression did not change at all. It was still so resentful. Zhou Yonglin's blood was still dripping on the dagger. Interesting. At this time, a faint voice was heard. The next moment, Lu Xiaoyun was shocked to find that he could not move. It was not just himself. Tang Qingchuan. The sand and stones under his feet and the surrounding things were all frozen. It was as if time had stopped. Originally, I just wanted to kill you easily, but I didn't expect to put on such a good show. Tianyang smiled and then glanced at Tang Qingchuan, who was also shocked, and then at Lu Xiaoyun. Do you really want to commit suicide? Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun was stunned. Tianyang's eyes seemed to be able to see through everything, piercing straight into his heart. Did he really want to die? Die for this woman? No. Suddenly, Lu Xiaoyun found that he could move. The surroundings also returned to their original state. No. You're not allowed to live. You said it. Let us solve it ourselves. At this time, Tang Qingchuan roared and waved the dagger, directly stabbing toward Lu Xiaoyun. Noisy. Tianyang casually slapped, and Tang Qingchuan's entire body turned into a bloody mist and scattered. I want to live. I'm willing to be your follower. At this time, Lu Xiaoyun finally woke up. He knelt on one knee and shouted loudly. At this time, the group of young masters also sent the news back to Jiangbei City. 90% of the disciples of the aristocratic families were dead. Wei Yunhai was dead, Wei Xiaotian was dead, and only one of the 3 strongest geniuses of the aristocratic families could survive. There was only one reason. Master Yang Tian. The news came. Jiangbei City was shocked. Chapter 926. Jiangbei was shocked. Even the 4 major clans hadn't expected such a huge event to happen at this gathering that only happened once every few years. It wasn't the death of an ordinary expert. It was the death of nearly 100 geniuses and a patriarch. It was very likely that the strongest geniuses of the 3 major clans were among them. Grandmaster Yang, actually, in the Zhou clan, Zhou Changkang's face was filled with disbelief. He knew that Tianyang was terrifyingly powerful, possibly on par with him. However, he had actually killed the patriarch of the Wei clan, Wei Xiaotian. Zhou Changkong was only at Heaven Ascension Stage 5, while Wei Xiaotian was at Heaven Ascension Stage 6. The difference between them couldn't be measured with mere words. Grandmaster Yang is acquainted with the Patriarch. Young Master Zhou should be able to survive. Right now, the Zhou family was already in a mess. Countless members of the Zhou clan had gathered in the meeting hall. They didn't have the time to care about the cause and effect of the incident. They only cared about whether their own people were injured or not. But Grandmaster Yang and I only had a simple transaction. We can't even be considered acquaintances, Zhou Changkong said bitterly at this moment. Hearing this, the members of the Zhou clan froze. In the Wei clan, damn it, killing Wei Yunhai wasn't enough. He even killed the Patriarch. In the Wei clan's meeting hall, the Peak Heaven Ascension Stage 5 Grand Elder of the Wei clan roared angrily. Waves of unstable suppressive might erupted, oppressing the Wei clan's 100-hectare courtyard. Everyone was trembling. If we don't kill this kid, our Wei clan's reputation will definitely hit rock bottom. The Wei clan's Grand Elder roared. However, no one dared to reply. They were different from the Wei clan's Grand Elder, who had lost his rationality. They all knew what level their patriarch was at, and what level was the person who could kill the Wei clan's patriarch, Wei Xiaotian. Those young masters were so frightened that they were spouting nonsense. They couldn't deduce the details at all. Right now, no one knew exactly how strong Tianyang was. There were many levels to killing the Wei clan's patriarch. The Wei clan wasn't afraid of risking their lives to kill him. They had spent a lot of effort to kill him. However, what if Grandmaster Yang had easily killed him? Perhaps in the entire Jiangbei city, apart from the city lord, who was half a step away from Wu Zun, no one else was Master Yang's enemy. The Lu family. Dead silence. The Tang family was incomparably furious. Including the families of the 90 aristocratic families, the entire Jiangbei city was in an uproar that night. Tiandang Mountain. I can't be bothered to make a contract for you, so I can't be bothered to hold you hostage. But you should know what the consequences are if you do something bad to me behind my back, Tianyang said plainly. Lu Xiaoyun was kneeling on the ground in front of him. We will follow Grandmaster Yang's lead. I, Lu Xiaoyun, hereby swear that if I do anything that is detrimental to Grandmaster Yang, then my Tao heart will be shattered and my cultivation will be crippled. With the heavens as my witness, with Tao as my oath. Lu Xiaoyun suddenly stood up and chanted an ancient incantation. In the next moment, the night sky, which was already dark with few stars, suddenly exploded with bolts of lightning. The oath to the heavenly Tao, the heavens and earth as a witness. If he violated it, then the consequences would not be as simple as the oath. His soul would be destroyed by the heavens and the earth, and he would never be reincarnated. Of course, some mighty figures with extraordinary means could use various methods to avoid the heavenly oath or play word games to nullify the oath. However, Lu Xiaoyun's words were engraved in his heart. As the son of the Lu family in Jiangbei City, it was impossible for him to have any extraordinary means. Not bad. Tianyang nodded. Then, he waved his right hand. A soul that had been hiding on the ground was summoned. Those who can use musical spells are usually not people who die easily. Moreover, I deliberately held back. Since you are so sincere, I'll let you deal with this guy, Tianyang said with a smile. At this moment, the soul revealed a human figure. It was Tang Qingchuan from the Tang family, who wanted to kill Zhou Yonglin and Lu Xiaoyun but was killed by Tianyang with one slap. Yang, if you kill me, not only will the Tang family take revenge on you, Jiangbei City and even the Sky Qin Palace behind me. Tang Qingchuan knew that he could not escape and immediately shouted wildly. You are not afraid of the Tang family, but are you not afraid of the Jiangbei City Lord, who is half a step away from Wuzun? Moreover, there is the Sky Qin Palace. My Sky Qin Palace has Wuzun's realm, and my master, Elder Yuexin, is a mighty figure who is half a step away from Wuzun. She can kill a cultivator of your level thousands of times with just one hand. Let me go, break your own limbs, kowtow and apologize. I'll put in a good word for you, and you can drag out an ignoble existence. However, if you kill me, the entire Xiantian great world will not leave you alone. Tang Qingchuan shouted. At this moment Tianyang shook his head. Shut up. In the next moment, Tang Qingchuan felt that his mouth seemed to be sealed by something. No matter how he tried to speak, he could not make a sound. I'll let you deal with me. Let me go or kill me, it's up to you. Wait, I want to make a trip to Jiangbei City, Tianyang said faintly. With a flick of his finger, Tang Qingchuan's soul fell into Lu Xiaoyun's hand. Lu Xiaoyun's expression also became uncertain. This was the person he loved in the past. As if sensing that Lu Xiaoyun's heart was wavering, Tang Qingchuan also showed a hopeful expression and looked at Lu Xiaoyun with a pitiful look. Tianyang stood at the side, standing at the top of the mountain and looking down at the huge Jiangbei city. Forget it. Lu Xiaoyun shook his head and let go of his hands. Tang Qingchuan immediately looked happy. Since I've become Master Yang's follower, I can't sit back and do nothing that threatens Master Yang even the slightest bit. Letting you go is like letting a tiger go back to the mountains. I'm afraid it's not a good word, but using all my strength to incite hatred. So, no matter how beautiful you are, you can only die, Lu Xiaoyun said. In the next moment, Tang Qingchuan's expression changed drastically. His soul power surged and directly broke through Tianyang's restrictions. Lu Xiaoyun, how dare you? Have you forgotten your previous feelings and… Goodbye! Lightning flashed between Lu Xiaoyun's hands. In an instant, Tang Qingchuan's soul was scattered. At this moment, Tianyang also turned his head and glanced at Lu Xiaoyun, the expression on his face unchanged. Since you're done, make a trip to Jiangbei City. I have some things that I want to know. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun respectfully turned around. Yes. On this day, Master Yang consecutively killed the father and son of the Wei family, making a name for himself. Jiangbei was in an uproar, and countless families trembled. On this night, Lu Xiaoyun turned into Master Yang's follower and treated him respectfully. Chapter 927. Master Yang had entered Jiangbei City. Tianyang had no intention of concealing himself. He followed Lu Xiaoyun and flew toward the Lu family in the center of Jiangbei City. Regardless of whether Jiangbei City had a no-fly zone, no one dared to shoot down Tianyang. After all, how could a group of Origin Transformation Realm soldiers on the city walls contend against someone who could even kill the Wei clan's patriarch, Wei Xiaotian? The only thing they could do was to spread the news. Things like communication tokens were still very useful within a certain range. The moment Tianyang appeared in the line of sight of the soldiers, all the aristocratic families in Jiangbei knew of Tianyang's arrival. The aristocratic families who had just calmed down began to tremble again. Wasn't Wei Xiaotian already dead? Why did Master Yang still enter Jiangbei City? Was he still not satisfied with Wei Xiaotian's death and wanted to wipe out the entire Wei family? While the aristocratic families were still trembling in fear and did not know what to do, Lu Xiaoyun had already led Tianyang into the Lu family's house. Xiaoyun, this is… The young masters had already described Tianyang's appearance and Lu Xiaoyun was there to prove it. However, the elders of the Lu family still could not believe it. Or rather, they did not dare to believe it. This young man who looked like he was only 16 or 18 years old was Master Yang, who killed the head of the Wei family and struck fear into the hearts of the entire Jiangbei city. Shouldn't Master Yang be a bearded, skinny man who looked like he had seen the vicissitudes of life? At the very least, he was an old man with white hair and a long beard that fluttered in the wind. He looked like an immortal. Who was this explosively young and handsome young man? Master Yang, Lu Xiaoyun said respectfully, although he looks a little special, he is the real deal. Hearing that, the elders of the Lu family were finally convinced. In the distance, when the young ladies of the Lu family saw Tianyang, their hearts raced and they whispered, "He's so handsome! I thought Master Yang was a middle-aged man or an old man. I didn't expect him to be a young man. Sisters, don't blame me for not giving you face this time. I must get my hands on Master Yang." Who's afraid of you? Is yours as big as mine? You, in the world of martial arts, apart from appearance, strength and talent were also important for a woman to choose her partner. Heavenly Sun just so happened to satisfy these three requirements. Appearance. After going through all kinds of body tempering techniques and absorbing the essence of the world, Tianyang's eyes. Strength. Killing Wei Xiaotian was enough to prove Tianyang's strength. Even in the entire Jiangbei city, he was one of the strongest. As for talent, there was no need to elaborate. That, the patriarch has been waiting inside for a long time. Grandmaster Yang, please go in, the second elder of the Lu family, who was at LV3 of the Reaching Heaven state, said shakily. He was really. The description of the group of young masters had already described Tianyang as a great devil who would kill anyone he saw and commit all sorts of crimes. However, they all knew that this was definitely an exaggeration. Yang Xiang was the Yang? The girls thought their voices were soft, but in front of a heavenly ascension realm fighter, it was almost deafening. The elder of the Lu family was afraid that if he offended Tianyang, he'd kill all the girls. The Lu family might not be able to stop Tianyang. All right. Tianyang nodded with a faint smile. He naturally heard the girls' discussion, but he didn't care. Soon after, Tianyang followed the elder, who was trembling with every step, to the Lu family's meeting hall. At the entrance of the meeting hall, the master of the Lu family wore a solemn expression. When he saw Tianyang, he immediately revealed a trace of a warm smile. In reality, the master of the Lu family wasn't waiting for him. Just as he was lying on the bed with his wife, he heard the elder shouting outside. He was so scared that he couldn't take care of his wife. He immediately used his true essence to wash his body clean, then put on his clothes and ran into the lobby. "This is Master Yang. As expected, you're handsome, elegant, and charming. What brings you to the Lu family?" The master of the Lu family wasn't much stronger than Wei Xiaotian. He was still a distance away from the 7th tier of the heavenly ascension realm, but he was still a hair away. Looking at Tianyang's appearance, he looked relaxed and didn't suffer any losses. Even if it was an act, it at least proved that he hadn't risked his life to kill Wei Xiaotian. For such an existence, killing the master of the Lu family might not be a big deal. "Oh right. I'm Lu Fenglu." The master of the Lu family, Lu Fenglu, said. Hearing this, Tianyang's mouth twitched. Had he become a scourge? Did he have to be like this? "I'm only here to stay for a while. I'll leave after I've finished inquiring about the matter." Tianyang said indifferently. "I'm Yang Tian. So it's Yang Tian, Master Yang. We've been friends for a long time." Lu Fenglu's face was full of praise. "Master Yang is really young and accomplished. It's getting late." Lu Lauer quickly arranged the best guest room for Master Yang. "If Master Yang is wronged in the slightest, I'll hold you responsible." Hearing this, not only the second elder of the Lu family, but even Lu Xiaoyun was a little embarrassed. "Master, the word hypocrite is written all over your face, all right?" Tianyang shrugged and didn't mind it too much. The master of the Lu family's attitude was actually quite common. After all, facing someone who could kill someone of the same strength as you, it was inevitable that you wouldn't tremble in fear. It was like a mortal meeting a wealthy and influential merchant. Even if you used his goods, the merchant could kill you with a wave of his hand and even wanted to stay in your house. Thus, Tianyang was respectfully invited to the guest room. According to the second elder of the Lu family's muttering, Tianyang was even thinking that if the first elder of the Lu family wasn't in seclusion, he would have joined this fearful army too. Tianyang couldn't care less about what happened to the Lu family. At this moment, he was sitting on the bed. After checking that there were no eavesdropping devices around him, he relaxed his mind. The battle strength of the Xiantian Great World is more or less the same as what I estimated, but for some reason, it's a little weaker. Looking at their cultivation methods, the grade is not bad, but when I use them, there's a sense of profoundness and obscurity. I estimated my strength based on the Tianshao Great World. Now it seems that I have the battle strength of at least LV8 or LV9 of the Heaven Ascension Realm. Tianyang muttered to himself, then focused his mind. It seems that the Xiantian Great World also has secret cultivation methods. Rays of light flashed across Tianyang's eyes, then he closed them. Vaguely, he seemed to have grasped something, but it was not clear. Meanwhile, the various aristocratic families were brightly lit. It was late at night. Chapter 928. The next day, everyone in Jiangbei City knew that Grandmaster Yang, who had killed the clan leader of the Wei clan, had arrived. The entire city was shaken. Someone had witnessed waves of fire erupting from the Wei clan's residence many times, but they were quickly suppressed. The door kept banging but never opened. The Zhou clan and the Tang clan were unusually quiet. Only the lights were lit throughout the night. Master Yang, today is the day of the Zhou clan's auction. Why don't we go and take a look? Lu Xiaoyun came to Tianyang's door early in the morning and asked respectfully. This voice would not disturb one's cultivation, but it could also transmit information. All right. Tianyang thought about it for a moment before he agreed. Before he left, Lu Xiaoyun had helped him to collect a large number of items from the disciples of the aristocratic families and the Wei clan leader, Wei Xiaotian's space bag. Now, Tianyang not only had the 3 portions of the Heaven Spirit Quintessence pill given by Zhou Changkong, but he also had all kinds of weapons, spiritual weapons, and medicinal herbs. Most importantly, he had the Earth Reiki. Tianyang did not investigate in detail, but the disciples of the aristocratic families, including the clan leader, had a lot of things on them. Even if it was not all of the wealth of the family, it was still very valuable. After a rough calculation, Tianyang had at least 100,000 Earth Reiki on him. In addition to the other weapons, medicinal herbs, the total value of the Reiki exceeded the total value of 100,000 Earth Reiki. If not for this, Tianyang would not have the confidence to attend the auction. Thank you, Master Yang. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyun smiled and bowed slightly. He hurriedly reported to the Lu clan leader, Lu Fenglu. Grandmaster Yang's every move was big news in Jiangbei City. Lu Fenglu was naturally very concerned. The Zhou clan. Due to the battle at the peak of Tiandang Mountain, the Zhou clan was extremely dismal. They were originally the weakest of the 4 major clans. Some of the first-rate clans could even compete with them. Now, the most powerful member of the younger generation was dead. The Zhou clan did not have any other powerful prodigies who could carry the burden. Now, they were not very enthusiastic about holding an auction. In my opinion, we shouldn't have let that Grandmaster Yang live. He is strong, but my Zhou family is not to be trifled with either. Shut up. Zhou Changkong furrowed his brows and roared, Kill Master Yang? Who's going? Is it me, a 5th-tier heavenly completion realm cultivator who is not even as strong as Wei Xiaotian? Or are you elders whose forces are not as strong as mine going? This matter was originally the fault of my Zhou family. Furthermore, Yonglin did not die at the hands of Grandmaster Yang. It was that malicious bitch of the Tang family, Tang Qingchuan, who killed him. With Grandmaster Yang's temperament, he wouldn't treat my Zhou family like this. What's more, if Grandmaster Yang was really such a cruel person, how could Lu Xiaoyun follow him so easily? Zhou Changkong said. He felt that it was a pity. Originally, the Zhou family could have been on good terms with the Tianyang and become Tianyang's ally. From then on, they could have seized the opportunity and leaped to the top of the 4 major families. It was not impossible. However, Zhou Yonglin's silence had silenced their ally, Grandmaster Yang. Let's not talk about this for now. The auction is more important. Compared to a dead genius, the family's foundation is more important. Zhou Changkong waved his hand. Hearing this, the other elders who wanted to argue could only nod silently. Since the head of the family had spoken, there was nothing they could do. Previously, Zhou Changkong had been surrounded by baleful aura, unable to display even half of his strength. Although he had a 5th-tier heavenly completion realm cultivation, he was more like a mascot in name. However, as Zhou Changkong's baleful aura disappeared, his 5th-tier heavenly completion realm cultivation recovered, and even improved, and Zhou Changkong's status returned. Strength reigned supreme. Not long after, the largest auction house of the Zhou family's auction house was opened. Zhou Changkong sat in a private room, looking at the auction house that had been prepared in a few minutes, and shook his head slightly. After Grandmaster Yang's ruckus, not many people would come to participate. It was a pity for the auction items. Brother Changkong, I came uninvited. Is there a problem? At this moment, a hearty laughter suddenly entered Zhou Changkong's ears. Zhou Changkong also showed a hint of surprise. Lu Fenglu? Why is he here? By the way, I brought a little brother with me. It shouldn't be a problem. Lu Fenglu stood at the door and said with a smile. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted. He appeared at the door in an instant. Seeing the young man walking side by side with Lu Fenglu, and even half a step ahead of him, he was tongue-tied. Master! Master Yang! Hearing this, the elders of the Zhou family, who were busy, suddenly changed their expressions and looked at Tianyang. Master Yang is here? Who is Master Yang? Aren't there only Lu Fenglu and Lu Xiaoyun of the Lu family here? Who is that young man? Shut up! That is Master Yang. What? This? Immediately, there were exclamations of surprise in the Zhou family. Tianyang was really too young. Even if his real age was only 25 years old, it was just a drop in the ocean in the life of a cultivator. For those old monsters who had lived for thousands of years, it was probably just the time of a seclusion. Therefore, the knowledgeable Zhou family members were in disbelief. It is Master Yang. Brother Changkong, why would you chase us away? Lu Fenglu said with a smile. He could not wait for Zhou Changkong to fall out with him. Everyone knew that Master Yang's methods were ruthless and he would kill if he wanted to. It was not clear if he would be angered, but if he was angered, Zhou Changkong would definitely suffer. As the possessor and competitor of Jiangbei City's resources, Lu Fenglu could not wait for Zhou Changkong to go crazy and offend Master Yang. No. Zhou Changkong shook his head with a complicated expression, then looked at Lu Fenglu and the rest. The Lu family's private room is ready, please. All right. Lu Fenglu smiled and was about to leave. However, Tianyang stopped. Master Yang, what's wrong? Nothing. Tianyang shook his head and looked at Zhou Changkong. An eye for an eye. The Zhou family and I have no more grudges. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong's face showed a trace of bitterness, then he heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that there was no grudge. Then, please come in. Zhou Changkong seemed to have let go of something and smiled. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly. At this moment, there were suddenly a series of announcements at the door. The Tang family head, Tang Lingfeng, has arrived with the Tang family young master, Tang Pengfei. The Wei family head, Wei Yuntian, has arrived with Wei Luqing. The Han family head, Han Peng, has arrived with the young master of the Han family. The Yen family head, the Lu family head. Loud shouts continuously sounded as if they did not stop for a moment. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong was stunned. Why were there so many people all of a sudden? Among them, there were a lot of people who had already said in advance that they would not be coming. At this moment, Zhou Changkong suddenly came to his senses. He looked at the young man's figure who had disappeared around the corner. He sighed in his heart and completely let go, regardless of whether it was right or wrong. Chapter 929. The Tang family, the Lu family, the Wei family, and the auction organizer, the Zhou family. The four families that controlled 70% of Jiangbei City's resources were all present. Moreover, the Yan family, the Lu family, the Jiang family, the Wang family, and the other aristocratic families of Jiangbei City were all present. Even when the Zhou family's auction was at its peak, there were not that many families participating. After all, the auction was about everyone taking what they needed. The influence of the aristocratic families did not matter in the auction. What truly attracted the aristocratic families were the items being auctioned. However, the items being auctioned were about the same as before. The influence of the aristocratic families had fallen to rock bottom. There was only one person who could cause such a grand event. Grandmaster Yang. It's already done. An elder of the Zhou family looked at the Lu family's box and said bitterly. He was the one who had been the most aggressive in calling for Tianyang to be punished. Now, he was the one who had suffered the most. He would never have thought that Grandmaster Yang had become the public enemy of the aristocratic families. The deaths of so many aristocratic families' disciples were directly or indirectly caused by Grandmaster Yang. Now, so many aristocratic families were participating in their family's auction for Grandmaster Yang? The other aristocratic families aside, the Wei family and the Tang family came prepared. Zhou Chongkong stared at the Tang and Wei family's box and sighed. Hearing this, the expressions of the Zhou family's elders changed. Then, Patriarch, we have no more grudges with Grandmaster Yang. Now we just need to do a good job at this auction. Zhou Chongkong said decisively and then disappeared. Hearing this, the Zhou family's elder in charge of the auction nodded. Grandmaster Yang, I think the Tang family and the Wei family are up to no good. In the Lu family's box, Lu Fenglu narrowed his eyes and said, If I'm not wrong, the Tang family and the Wei family will make things difficult for us after this auction. What do you think, Grandmaster Yang? Ever since the news that Lu Xiaoyun was the only surviving member of the four aristocratic families, Lu Fenglu knew that the Lu family and the other three families had severed ties. However, he was not angry. After all, his family was still alive. He could not kill them to appease the other families. Besides, Tianyang was no ordinary person. Yes, Grandmaster Yang, why don't we leave at the last moment? Lu Xiaoyun also spoke up. He had made an oath to the heavenly Tao. Although he had not formed a contract, he had already formed a life link with Tianyang. If Tianyang died, Lu Xiaoyun wouldn't live for long either. From the looks of it, this auction was no longer a simple auction. Instead, it was a plot to kill Tianyang. It doesn't matter. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. No matter how many techniques he has, I will break them with a single punch. Tianyang shook his head and chuckled. He had the immortal bloodline. Even if he didn't have the Heaven Spirit Treasure Xian pill, he could still recover. As time gradually passed, his injuries began to recover. He only needed the Heavenly Spiritual Treasure Xian pill to activate the immortal flame, and his injuries would be fully healed in a year or so. At that time, he would be Wu Zun. He was Wu Zun, who looked down on Jiangbei City, laughed proudly in the East Sea State, and was considered a powerhouse even in the Xiantian Great World. In his previous life, he didn't even take these families of Heaven Ascension cultivators seriously, let alone now. Alright. Lu Fenglu and Lu Xiaoyun could only give up when they saw Tianyang's confident look. However, they were still thinking about it. Tianyang had just killed Wei Xiaotian, the patriarch of House Wei. Although he looked fine now, was he really unscathed? Although House Tang and House Wei hadn't sent their strongest fighters, they weren't weak either. Tang Lingfeng, the patriarch of House Tang, was at LV7 Heaven Ascension. Wei Yuntian, the grand elder of House Wei, was at the peak of LV5 Heaven Ascension. Moreover, although Tang Pengfei didn't join the Sky Qin Palace as his sister, Tang Qingchuan, who was at the Wu Zun level, he had joined a powerful faction with a half-step Wu Zun, who was equivalent to the city lord of Jiangbei City. Tang Pengfei's background, Tang Lingfeng's, and Wei Yuntian's strength combined were enough to make it difficult for House Lu and House Zhou to deal with them. Tianyang was just a young man in his 20s or 30s. Did he really have the ability to stop the three of them? Tianyang's age and appearance limited Lu Fengliu's imagination. After all, normal people started cultivating when they were 5 years old. According to this calculation, Tianyang had only been cultivating for 20 years. Even if Tianyang started cultivating when he was in his mother's womb, it would only be 25 years. 25 years wasn't short for people like Lu Fenglu, Tang Lingfeng, Wei Xiaotian, and Zhou Changkong, but it wasn't long either. This was the Donghai state, not the divine central continent, which was full of heroes and saints, or the mysterious eastern divine land, western Buddhist pure land, southern devil land, or northern desert. Lu Fenglu and the others didn't have the impression that geniuses who were born with divine bodies and cultivated faster than a rocket existed. But Tianyang was different. He had the all-heavens sword and part of Shintian Wuzuan's memory. He knew how terrifying those powerful geniuses were and how strong they were. He was reborn at 15 and Wu Zun was 25. He was just a few steps ahead of them. Of course, if others were to know of these few steps, they would probably be astonished. But Lu Fenglu didn't know. At this time, the auction had already begun. The auctioneer was a petite girl, but no one had time to pay attention to her. Except for those from small families who wanted to join in the fun, everyone's attention was on the upcoming storm. Tianyang, on the other hand, didn't feel any psychological burden when he used the Reiki that he had snatched. He bought whatever he saw that he might need. Because of Master Yang's power, when a young voice came from the Lu family's box, everyone shut up. They didn't want to see how terrifying Master Yang was. The next item to be auctioned is a scroll from nearly 10,000 years ago. On this scroll, there may be information about the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation 10,000 years ago. Our Zhou family got this item, but we can't unseal it. We can only see the information on the first page. Therefore, besides the information about the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation from 10,000 years ago, there may be something else. But we can't guarantee what it is. The young auctioneer introduced. At this time, Tianyang, who was casually bidding, suddenly trembled. The apocalyptic heavenly tribulation from 10,000 years ago? Tianyang couldn't sit still anymore. In the Tianshao Great World, there was a civilization that was destroyed. The entire cultivation system was destroyed, and it took many years for the martial soul system to be developed. In the Xiantian Great World, the cultivation system was difficult to operate. Could it be Tianyang suddenly thought of the inspiration that he didn't grasp last night? Civilization, the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation. The starting price is 5,000 Reiki, and each increment must be no less than 500 Reiki. Before the auctioneer of the Zhou family could finish, Tianyang interrupted. Chapter 930. 50,000 Reiki. Everyone was stunned when they heard the young voice. What's going on? The starting bid was only 5,000, and that guy actually offered 10 times the starting bid? However, in the next moment, they identified the source of the news, and their faces became bewildered. Yang Tian, Grandmaster Yang. Grandmaster Yang actually offered 50,000 Reiki? Grandmaster Yang also made a bid before, but he only offered 10 or 20,000 Reiki to get the item. Now, he actually offered 10 times the starting bid. What's so special about this scroll? Everyone was puzzled, but no one dared to say anything. After all, Grandmaster Yang's name had spread throughout Jiangbei City in just 2 days. Ordinary family heads would not have the guts to offend the Tianyang. Pengfei, what do you think? In the Tang family box, Tang Lingfeng's face darkened as he looked at his son beside him. Tang Pengfei's intelligence was close to that of a demon. Although he was ugly, his martial arts cultivation was not too low. That faction, which had the half-step Wu Zun as their leader, accepted Tang Pengfei not only because of his martial arts talent, but also because of his intelligence. Even the Tang family head would consult Tang Pengfei when he had something important to do. In my opinion, there must be something special about this scroll since Grandmaster Yang values it so much. Grandmaster Yang just killed Wei Xiaotian, and according to our analysis, he must have been severely injured. He's just putting on an act now. Therefore, there might be a secret hidden in this scroll that can allow him to recover quickly. According to the description of those good-for-nothings, Grandmaster Yang's soul energy is extraordinary. He can suppress Tang Qingchuan with just a glance. Tang Pengfei said expressionlessly. Tang Lingfeng nodded slightly. Although he did not say it explicitly, Tang Lingfeng understood what he meant. Get the ancient scroll. Tang family, 60,000 Reiki. Tang Lingfeng's voice was steady and firm, carrying an unquestionable authority. By the side, the Wei clan's first elder had also come to a conclusion. Tianyang had been careless earlier, so there was naturally no need for him to participate in the competition. But now, since Tianyang valued this scroll so much, he must be after something big. Their Wei clan already hated Tianyang to the bone. Naturally, they would not let Tianyang get it. Wei clan, 70,000 Reiki. 80,000 Reiki, Tianyang said. His expression was calm and he did not reveal any other emotions. He valued this scroll very much. After all, the great destruction of the civilization was the main cause of his death in his previous life. Tianyang must have made up his mind. If there was a mastermind behind the destruction of the civilization, he would take revenge. If not, then he would destroy the heavenly Tao of the Tianshao Great World. Re-establish a new order. Now, in another world, there was also news about the great destruction of civilization. How could Tianyang not fight for it? If the Xiantian Great World also suffered the great destruction of civilization, then it was very likely that there was a mastermind behind the destruction. And Tianyang was one step closer to his goal of revenge. 90,000. Tang Lingfeng was even more certain when he heard Tianyang's words. A hint of mockery appeared on his face. Grandmaster Yang's strength was undoubtedly powerful. Perhaps even he was no match for him. However, in terms of wealth, Grandmaster Yang was just a single person. How could he compete with the powerful Tang clan? 100,000. The Wei clan also spoke. Tianyang's eyes flickered slightly. He released the power of his primordial spirit and smiled. 80,000 Reiki and the Wei clan's Heaven and Earth Dragon Breaker technique, Tianyang said. In an instant, the entire auction house fell silent. The Wei clan's Heaven and Earth Dragon Breaker technique? This was not something that could be casually used as a substitute for Reiki. The Wei clan's ultimate technique, the foundation of their foothold in Jiangbei City, was this Earth-class technique. Damn it! The Wei clan Grand Elder's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. He never imagined that Tianyang would be so sinister. He was taking the Wei clan's things and competing with them. 110,000 Reiki and a mid-grade spiritual weapon. The Wei clan Grand Elder roared angrily. At this moment, Tianyang smiled slightly and spoke again. 80,000 Reiki and the Wei clan's Heaven and Earth Dragon Breaker technique. In addition to the Wei clan Patriarch's supreme-grade spiritual weapon, the Heavenly Jade Shield. Bastard! The Wei clan Grand Elder could no longer hold back. If I, Wei Yuntian, don't kill you, I swear I'm not human. The aura of a peak heaven ascension stage 5th tier erupted instantly. The rolling aura almost suppressed the entire auction house. In an instant, everyone in the auction house, except for the Heaven Ascension stage elites, found it difficult to breathe. The weaker ones even unconsciously bent their back. This was the aura of a peak Heaven Ascension stage 5th tier, the aura of the Wei clan Grand Elder. However, when this aura appeared in the Lu clan's box, it disappeared like a spring breeze. Lu Fenglu made his move. Wei clan Grand Elder, you can cause trouble, but you'd better abide by the rules of the auction house. This is the Zhou clan, not your Wei clan. At this moment, Zhou Changkong also snorted coldly and spoke. Without the murderous aura around him, his strength had improved greatly. Although his cultivation base was not as high as the Wei clan Grand Elders, in terms of strength, in the Zhou clan's home ground, there was no problem for him to suppress the Wei clan Grand Elder. Hearing this, the Wei clan Grand Elder's face immediately darkened. He snorted coldly and withdrew his aura. However, that sinister gaze filled with murderous intent was still fixed on the Lu clan's back. It was as if he wanted to rely on his gaze to shoot through the wall and kill Tianyang. The highest bidder will get it. Tianyang shrugged and spoke with a chuckle. Hearing this, the crowd couldn't help but blush slightly. The highest bidder would get it in front of the furious Wei clan. They didn't know whether this Master Yang was magnanimous or truly confident. The highest bidder will get it. Then, the Tang clan will pay 200,000 Earth Reiki. What do you think? At this moment, Tang Lingfeng snorted coldly. He was even more certain that Tianyang urgently needed this scroll. Therefore, he had no scruples when it came to spending money. 200,000 Earth Reiki? Hearing this, the crowd couldn't help but narrow their eyes and gasp. Earth Reiki was not a spirit stone. It was pure Reiki that contained an incomparably large amount of spirit chi. It was already considered a miracle if an ordinary Earth Reiki vein could excavate 100,000 Reiki. And a large aristocratic family rarely had more than 500,000 Earth Reiki on hand. Tang Lingfeng's shout. It could be said that he directly threw out half of the Tang clan's wealth. 200,000 Earth Reiki, plus 3 middle-grade spirit weapons, and 1 superior-grade spirit weapon. Tang Lingfeng said again. Hearing this, the Grand Elder of the Wei clan was stunned. However, his expression was ferocious. Fine, the Wei clan can't win against you, but there are plenty of people who can. Tianyang pondered for a moment. No one knew what he thought, but he didn't say anything else. In the eyes of the crowd, this was a sign of weakness. The Tang clan going once, the Tang clan going twice. The young female auctioneer seemed to be stunned by the huge number. Her voice was a little hoarse. However, at this moment, Tang Lingfeng's extremely cold voice rang out. There's no need for a third time. Wei Yuntian, do it. All right. The Grand Elder of the Wei clan nodded. Then, he suddenly burst out and broke the box. At this moment, a large area of golden formation suddenly appeared on the ground of the auction house. Thank you, Zhou clan's auction house, for providing us with such a good opportunity and venue. And thank you, Master Yang, for being so stupid and giving us. Tang Lingfeng also broke the box and looked at Tianyang with a ferocious expression. Chapter 931. This is my chance to kill you. Tang Lingfeng sneered. The next moment, the golden runes that covered the entire auction hall emitted a dazzling golden light. A terrifying aura was unleashed, causing the entire place to tremble violently. That's... Lu Fenglio's face fell. Even he could feel the killing intent emanating from the runes. Wait a minute. The ones who cast the runes are the Han clan, the Shao clan, and the Wang clan? There are other families as well, Tianyang said calmly. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun suddenly came to a realization. He slammed his fist on the table, smashing the hard stone table into pieces. No wonder so many clans have come. Except for those who really want to participate in the auction, everyone else is here for this. The auction this time is a trap. It's a trap to kill Master Yang. Lu Xiaoyun said angrily. Tang Lingfeng laughed loudly. You only realize it now? Looks like this generation of the Lu family isn't that great after all. Those who have nothing to do with this, leave within 30 seconds, and I'll spare your lives. If you insist on being stubborn, you'll all become the sacrificial offerings of this great array in 30 seconds. Tang Lingfeng laughed maniacally. At this moment, the ugly Tang Pengfei slowly walked to Tang Lingfeng's side. He stared at Tianyang with an indifferent gaze. My relationship with my sister isn't that good, Tang Pengfei said. He looked at Tianyang as if he was looking at a dead man. However, even if my sister were to die, she should die on the battlefield, or the disciples of other sections. She should die of old age, instead of dying at the hands of an unknown piece of trash with no family to speak of. Tang Pengfei said calmly. Tianyang's expression didn't change at all. I was supposed to return to the sect in a few days, but you're unlucky to run into me. So, this Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array can finally release its glory, Tang Pengfei said. The next moment, he twisted his hands. Countless runes were connected and intertwined with one another, forming an enormous golden-winged giant pung that covered the entire auction ground. 30 seconds have passed. The rest of you, along with Grandmaster Yang, will die at the hands of the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array. What? Heavenly Pring Saint slaughtering array? When Lu Fenglu heard this name for the second time, his pupils shrank to the size of a needle. It's actually the Heavenly Rock Saint slaughtering array? What's his background? Tianyang asked, his expression as calm as ever. The Heavenly Rock Saint slaughtering array is a great array owned by my sect, the Sacred Rock Sect. Legend has it that our Sacred Pring Sect's ancestor once relied on this spirit formation to kill a saint. Because of that, we became famous. Although what I have is only the basic formation of the Heavenly Pung Saint slaughtering formation, and its power is not even a tenth of the complete Heavenly Pung Saint slaughtering formation, it's more than enough to kill trash like you who is at most at Heaven Ascension stage level 7. Tang Pengfei said. Then, the light ball formed by the power of the formation in his hand shone brightly. In the next moment, the golden-winged giant ping formed by the runes seemed to come alive. It flew out of the formation and turned into a golden-winged giant ping that was over 100 feet long and wide. Grandmaster Yang and Lu Fenglu should be proud to die at the hands of the top formation of the Sacred Ping Sect. Tang Lingfeng sneered. At this moment, the Grand Elder of the Wei clan took the initiative to attack. Why are you still talking nonsense with them? Let's use the power of the formation to kill them first. All right. The Grand Elder of the Wei clan laughed loudly. In the next moment, his figure disappeared from the spot. A 3-foot-long broadsword appeared in his hand. It shone with the light of a supreme-grade spirit weapon and shone with endless golden light. It slashed at Tianyang fiercely. Dragon Destroyer slash. Like Wei Xiaotian, the Grand Elder of the Wei clan, Wei Yuntian, also practiced the Heaven and Earth Dragon Destroyer art. His broadsword technique was naturally the same as the Dragon Destroyer fist. Can't remember the lesson? No, you don't even know the lesson. Tianyang shook his head. Just as he was about to mock them, he suddenly recalled something and sighed. 108 ancestral dragon runes appeared on his body. This time, Tianyang was too lazy to use the 9 Heavens Imperial Dragon art. He directly punched out. Dragon Emperor Mystical Fist, 10,000 dragons slaughtering gods. The ancestral dragon body that had absorbed the essence of the world was not comparable to the previous ancestral dragon body. At the same time, the power of the Dragon Emperor Mystical Fist was far greater than before. Dragon? Using a dragon before the Wei clan? Humph, kid, I don't know if you're crazy or arrogant, but there's only one ending. And that is death. The Grand Elder of the Wei clan laughed loudly and slashed down with his broadsword. From the broadsword, a huge white dragon flew out. Its eyes were violent as it roared at Tianyang. At the side, Tang Lingfeng was also facing off against Lu Fenglu. In the previous battle, you and I were evenly matched. Now that we are in the Sky Rock Holy Slaughtering design, we are stronger and you are weaker. I want to see how you will deal with this. Tang Lingfeng sneered. Looking at the middle-aged man who had been fighting with him for decades, he punched out. Black Heaven Fist. Lu Fenglu's expression changed. Unlike Tianyang, He could clearly feel that his cultivation was being severely restricted by the design. Facing Tang Lingfeng's powerful punch, Lu Fenglu could not meet it. He used his movement technique and hurriedly dodged. As for Lu Xiaoyun, he had no opponent. However, his eyes were fixed on Tang Pengfei, who was controlling the design and making the golden rock stronger and stronger. The Sky Rock Holy Slaughtering design was one of the strongest designs of the Sacred Rock sect. Naturally, it could not only weaken and strengthen. The truly powerful part was the golden-winged great rock that was still growing stronger. Damn it! Lu Xiaoyun clenched his fists. This was the first time he felt so powerless. He thought that his sea of spirit realm cultivation was extremely strong and could dominate Jiangbei City. However, when the real danger came, he realized that his cultivation was nothing. Damn what? At that moment, a chuckle was heard. Lu Xiaoyun heard it and looked up in surprise. He saw Tianyang walking toward him calmly. Grandmaster Yang Yu, aren't you here? Are you fighting with this guy? Tianyang grabbed an old man from behind him and casually threw him in front of Lu Xiaoyun, chuckling. Lu Xiaoyun looked down. It was the Grand Elder of the Wei clan. Wei Yuntian lost so quickly. At that moment, Tang Lingfeng sensed that something was wrong. He quickly turned around and his expression changed. Lu Fenglu finally seized the opportunity to turn around and attack. Puff! Even though Tang Lingfeng's cultivation was half a level higher than Lu Fenglu's, he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at that moment, Tang Pengfei's eyes narrowed and a ball of light appeared between his hands. Looks like it's time. Sky Rock Holy Slaughtering Design. Rise. The golden rock that was already 3,000 feet long rose into the air. P.S. Look at the comments section, there are a lot of people saying that chapters 927 to 930 are 4 chapters. I took a leave of absence and deleted chapter 927. That's why there are no notifications. The number of people who read that chapter is not high either. They probably did not see it. Chapter 932. A loud bird cry rang out, and a ball of golden flames suddenly burned the entire place. The entire auction house turned into a sea of fire. Ha ha ha! The Heavenly Rock Saint Slaughtering design has been activated. The Wei Clan Grand Elder, who had been beaten up like a dead dog by Tianyang, laughed maniacally as he lay on the ground and mocked. Tianyang could even kill the Wei Clan leader, Wei Xiaotian, with a single finger, let alone the Wei Clan Grand Elder, who was even weaker than Wei Xiaotian. The Wei Clan Grand Elder's saber was indeed extraordinary, much stronger than Wei Xiaotian's empty-handed saber. However, it was still trash in front of Tianyang's ancestral dragon body. The white dragon didn't even touch Tianyang's Dragon Emperor Divine Fist before it turned into light and dissipated. The Wei Clan Grand Elder, who hadn't reacted at all, was naturally severely injured by this punch. He didn't die because Tianyang went easy on him. The Heavenly Rock Saint Slaughtering design is a terrifying design that can kill saints. Even if it's just a basic design now, it still has the power to kill Wu Zun. Even the Jiangbei City Lord might not be able to withstand the Heavenly Rock Saint Slaughtering design, let alone a brat like you. The Wei Clan Grand Elder laughed maniacally. Hearing this, Tianyang frowned and pointed a finger. He directly sealed the Wei Clan Grand Elder's throat. No matter how much the Wei Clan Grand Elder screamed, he couldn't make a sound. Can kill Wu Zun? Tianyang's lips curled into a smile. He had seen Wu Zun before. Shintian Wuzun and the Great Lord of Heaven were no ordinary Wu Zun. The Demon Emperor, who was half a step away from the peak of Wu Zun and had summoned the projection of the Great Lord of Heaven, also had Wu Zun's power. However, he was still killed by Tianyang. Have you never seen Wu Zun before, or do you have too much hope for this mixed bird? Tianyang smiled. Hearing this, Tang Pengfei was instantly enraged. How dare you insult my sex array? Heavenly Pring Saint Slaughtering Array, kill! Boom! The golden-winged rock flapped its wings and disappeared. In the next moment, sharp flaming blades pierced through space and blasted towards the Tianyang. There are a lot of tricks, but they aren't that powerful. Tianyang waved his hand casually and the power of his primordial spirit vibrated. Those flaming blades immediately vanished into thin air. This is merely the weakest technique of the first layer of the heavenly Peng Saint slaughtering array. Tang Pengfei snorted coldly. The array formation light bead in his hand spun again. The golden-winged great rock instantly burst forth with extreme speed, viciously charging towards Tianyang. The pair of wings were like the sharpest blades in the world. As they swept down, they tore through space and brought about waves of spatial storms. Heavenly Peng Saint slaughtering array, kill! Tang Pengfei injected his true essence. The golden-winged great rock's body trembled. Monstrous flames burned as the pair of wings blasted out. Insignificant tricks. It's just SOSO. Tianyang smiled indifferently. His right hand made a grabbing motion. The Styx sword, which had refined the evil aura into an artifact spirit, suddenly appeared in his hand. In the next moment, Tianyang's figure flashed and he appeared in front of the golden-winged great rock. The Styx sword slashed out. First sword, red spider lily bloom. As the sword slashed out, it was as if the Styx river had appeared between heaven and earth. A bewitching red flower by the shore bloomed. With a poignant sword light, it fiercely collided with the golden-winged great rock's attack. Boom! A loud sound reverberated throughout the entire Jiangbei city. In the next moment, Tianyang slashed out with his sword once again. Second sword, fleeting beauty. The black and white sword light flashed and disappeared. At this moment, the golden-winged great rock suddenly split apart. The pair of wings had been severed. The sharp pair of wings fell directly to the ground. In midair, they turned into flames and scattered. Although the golden-winged great rock above quickly used energy to condense a pair of huge wings, they were no longer as strong as before. Looking at the scene above, Zhou Chongkong was stunned. The Wei family Grand Elder's face was full of disbelief. Tang Lingfeng's three views had collapsed. That was the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array. The array that the sacred Ping sect had once relied on to kill saints. A Heaven Ascension Realm cultivator had actually severed both of its wings. There's actually such a powerful sword technique? So your strongest point isn't your physical body, but your sword Dao. Tang Pengfei's expression changed slightly. He looked at Tianyang, revealing a trace of unprecedented seriousness. He was indeed worthy of being the Tang family's think tank. His analytical ability was extremely powerful. He had analyzed so much from Tianyang's relaxed expression when he swung his sword. However, so what if you're proficient in sword Dao? My sacred Ping sect's Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array is invincible. Last move. Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array, 9 heavens wing slash. Tang Pengfei roared angrily. The runes of the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array below once again released a sky full of light. At this time, the golden-winged great rock also burned with blazing flames. As if it wanted to burn the 9 heavens, it slashed out with both of its wings. Streaks of flame cut through the air and swept over. The surrounding temperature was raised dozens of degrees by the streaks of flame. It was as if they were in lava. Lu Xiaoyun was the first to be unable to withstand the pressure. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Lu Fenglu also took a few steps back. He didn't even have time to care about his son. As for Tang Lingfeng, he was laughing heartily. He stood where he was, looking at the streaks of flame above with a face full of excitement. He couldn't wait to see Tianyang being killed by the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array. The city governor's mansion. The Jiangbei city governor, a half-step away from Wu Zun. It looks like the Tang family has won this battle. I didn't expect them to have the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array. The Jiangbei city governor shook his head. Below him, an old man in the 7th tier of Heaven Ascension exclaimed in shock, Could it be? I was fortunate enough to see the Sky Rock Saint slaughtering array of the Sacred Rock sect once. When it's fully unleashed, great flame can burn the heavens. Even a saint might be killed. Although this is only a basic array, it's easy to kill a mere Master Yang. However, it'll be much more difficult to restrain the Tang family in the future. The Jiangbei city governor said calmly, sentencing Tianyang to death. The old man in the 7th tier of heaven ascension shook his head. Master Yang had such achievements at such a young age. Perhaps he could reach Wu Zun's level. Unfortunately, he was too arrogant and didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He provoked the 4 major families as soon as he arrived. Wei Xiaotian was only the 3rd major family. Then, I'll go first. The old man in the 7th tier of heaven ascension spoke, but his voice suddenly stopped. What's wrong? The Jiangbei city governor asked with a strange expression. He turned to look in the direction of the old man's gaze, and his pupils immediately shrank. The 3rd sword, the cycle of life and death. At that moment, a young voice was heard. As for the black and white-colored sword light, it completely split the golden-winged great rock into 2. Then, the figure threw a punch and shattered the golden-winged rock. At the same time, he charged toward the family heads who were still in a daze. Oh no! The Jiangbei city governor had no time to be shocked. He rushed toward the Zhou family in a flash. At that moment, Tianyang's expression was calm as he looked at Tang Lingfeng, Tang Pengfei, the Wei family head elder, the Han family, the Xiao family, and the other major families below. They were the ones who had attacked him. Although it would be easy to deal with them, Tianyang wasn't the kind of person who would repay evil with good. He raised his sword. Have mercy! At that moment, the Jiangbei city governor's urgent voice was heard. Zhou Changkang's pupils shrank. It's the governor! As the Jiangbei city governor, I order you to spare their lives. At that moment, another angry roar was heard. Tianyang's expression was calm, and his movements were the same as before. He raised his hand and brought his sword down. Tang Pengfei, Tang Lingfeng, the Wei family head elder, the Han family head elder, everyone who attacked Tianyang was dead. Blood flowed all over the ground and heads rolled. The city lord of Jiangbei City had finally arrived. Chapter 933. You killed them? The governor of Jiangbei City said in a low voice as he looked at the headless corpses below. It was as if they came from underground. That's right. Tianyang smiled and looked at the governor of Jiangbei City without any change in his expression. The governor of Jiangbei City looked young, probably in his 30s. He was tall and had a chiseled face. He could be considered a handsome man. The long robe on his body fluttered in the wind. He looked very natural. However, his face was incomparably gloomy, as if water was about to drip from it. Do you know who they are? The governor of Jiangbei City roared. The half-step Wu Zun's aura fluctuated as if he was going to attack at any time. Seeing this, Lu Fenglu, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly became nervous. Could it be that the governor was going to attack Master Yang? The 4 major families of Jiangbei City sounded very powerful. However, the 4 great clans knew that the prestige of the 4 great clans was all built on the relaxation of the city lord of Jiangbei City. The half-step Wu Zun was enough to dominate the Donghai state. The strongest of the 4 major families was only at LV7 of the reaching heaven state. Therefore, the 4 major families could dominate Jiangbei City because the governor of Jiangbei City didn't restrict them. Now, if the governor of Jiangbei City wanted to attack Tianyang, the Lu family wouldn't be able to protect Tianyang. Who are they? I want to know. Tianyang said with a smile, without the slightest hint of fear. What a joke. He was Wu Zun. Did he need to be afraid of a half-step Wu Zun? It wouldn't be easy for him to deal with a half-step Wu Zun. However, if Tianyang forcibly ignited the immortal fire and recovered from his injuries, he could kill 10 governors of Jiangbei City with a flip of his hand. That was Wu Zun's power. If you're talking about the Sky Qin Palace behind Tang Qingchuan or the Sacred Peng sect behind Tang Pengfei, I've heard enough. Shut up, Tianyang said lightly. Hearing this, Lu Fenglu couldn't help but worry for Tianyang. Big brother, the person opposite you is not some patriarch. Instead, it was the half-step city lord of Wu Zun. Speaking like this, aren't you afraid that the other party will blow you into smithereens in a fit of rage? They are the family heads, the patriarchs of the 4 great clans and the other great clans in Jiangbei City. The city lord of Jiangbei City raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Tianyang to respond to him in such a manner. Most of the resources in Jiangbei City are controlled by them. If you kill them, who will control the resources? The Jiangbei City Lord said angrily. As the City Lord, he was in charge of everything in Jiangbei City, including the power distribution of the major families. All the families that wanted to take root in Jiangbei City had to rely on him. In other words, it was checks and balances. The 4 great clans were all giant. The City Lord of Jiangbei City could deal with them, but it would not be easy. However, if the 4 great clans were allowed to grow, then Jiangbei City would be difficult to control. That was why the City Lord of Jiangbei City had relaxed and suppressed them. This resulted in the current situation of the 4 great clans and countless aristocratic families. As a result, Tianyang appeared. He killed the Wei clan head and weakened the Wei clan by nearly 30%. Second severance Tang Lingfeng, Tang Pengfei, the Wei clan head elder, the Han clan, Shao clan, Li clan, and other clans. The structure that the city lord of Jiangbei City had carefully controlled was destroyed by Tianyang. However, when he heard this, Tianyang couldn't help but sneer. Who will control it? He could naturally see the reason why the city lord of Jiangbei City was angry. However, this reason was simply laughable to Tianyang. Supporting the clans, expanding the forces, or giving it to individual cultivators and mortals, you don't even know this? You have strength, but you don't know how to govern the city. Is your position as the city lord a mascot? Tianyang mocked mercilessly. Hearing this, before the city lord of Jiangbei City could react, Lu Fenglu, who was below, was almost scared out of his wits. Master, that was the city lord. As for the remaining members of the Tang clan and the Wei clan, when they saw this scene, their faces were filled with excitement. Good. That's how you talk. Infuriate the city lord, then you'll be killed by him. Among the 4 major clans, no one knew how powerful the half-step Wu Zun was. However, even an idiot would know that the half-step Wu Zun could definitely kill anyone in Jiangbei City. Tianyang dared to talk to the half-step Wu Zun like this. He was courting death. You, the city lord of Jiangbei City said, and raised his right hand. Seeing this, Lu Fenglu and Zhou Changkang's hearts jumped to their throat. The remaining members of the Tang clan and the Wei clan even waved their hands and attacked. Your idea can only be said to be passable. However, it's still very troublesome to implement, the city lord of Jiangbei City said. However, compared to before, there was not much anger in his voice. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. What was going on? What happened to Wu Zun destroying the world when he was angry? So what if it's troublesome? Compared to the Tang clan, the Wei clan, the Han clan, the Shao clan, and the Li clan, this little bit of trouble is nothing. Tianyang sneered. Then, he used his secret technique and walked down. He did not even care about the city lord of Jiangbei City. Meanwhile, the city lord of Jiangbei City stood in the air with a thoughtful look on his face. Then, he turned around and flew back the way he came without saying a word. The city lord left? Below, Lu Fenglu, Zhou Changkang, Lu Xiaoyun, and the others were shocked. Coming in aggressively and leaving quietly? This was not the city lord of Jiangbei City. However, they had no right to comment on how the city lord did things. The troublemakers are all dead. Now, can we continue with the auction? Tianyang returned to the ruined private room and chuckled. On the stage, the young auctioneer, who was scared out of her wits, nodded instinctively. That's good. Before Zhou Changkong could say anything, Tianyang took the space bags of the Wei clan's Grand Elder, Tang Pengfei, and Tang Lingfeng and took out 200,000 Reiki. I'll take the scroll. The battle at the Zhou clan had come to an end. The Tang clan, the Wei clan, the Han clan, the Shao clan, the Li clan, and the other clans set up the Heavenly Peng Saint slaughtering array in the Zhou clan's auction house in an attempt to kill Master Yang. However, Master Yang turned the tables and killed the Wei clan's Grand Elder, broke the Heavenly Peng Saint slaughtering array, and killed many people in the Zhou clan's auction house. An hour after the battle ended, the city lord's residents also dispatched troops to carry out the final harvest of the Tang and Wei clans. The Zhou clan and the Lu clan wiped out the Han clan, the Shao clan, and the Li clan. Once the news was out, not only Jiangbei City, but also Yunzhen, Qingzhen, Yangzhen, and the surrounding towns. Everyone was shocked. The power structure of the East Sea State and the north of the Xinjiang was destroyed, smashed, and rebuilt by one person. Everyone in Jiangbei City remembered one word. Chapter 934. In the Lu family. Tianyang played with the scroll from 10,000 years ago in his hand, and seemed to be deep in thought. Since the battle at the Zhou family, there had been a continuous stream of people coming to visit him at the Lu family. However, they were all sent back by Tianyang. However, the Zhou family had no way of rejecting them. Tianyang had obtained the scroll from 10,000 years ago because the Zhou family had forcefully sent it to him. I was just defending myself. I even caused the destruction of the Zhou family's auction house. How could they send something over? I don't understand. Tianyang shook his head. Apart from the scroll, the Zhou family had sent everything that Tianyang had auctioned to him unconditionally. Even the final treasure, a drop of the divine dragon's blood essence, had been sent to him by the Zhou family through the Lu family because Tianyang had used his dragon power. It could be said that the Zhou family had spared no effort to befriend him, a powerful person who could kill the family head like a dog and break the formation to shake the city lord. However, Tianyang knew very well that the benefits that he had brought to the Zhou family were not something that these treasures could compare to. Now, the four major families in Jiangbei City had become two major families. The Zhou family and the Lu family each occupied half of Jiangbei City. Although they did not occupy all the resources left behind by the Tang family, Wei family, Han family, Shao family, Li family, and other aristocratic families, they had obtained enough to strengthen themselves. All of this was thanks to Tianyang. Not to mention these treasures, they would even be willing to hand over all the treasures in the Zhou family's auction house. Therefore, Tianyang only muttered to himself, "Apart from the divine dragon's blood essence, the other things are not very useful. However, the most important thing now is the scroll from 10,000 years ago. It's all from 10,000 years ago, and it's similar to the great destruction of civilization. It's hard not to think about it." Tianyang muttered to himself and then touched the scroll with both hands. Ripples appeared on the scroll. It actually produced a resistance force and bounced Tianyang's hand back. Interesting. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled up. Then, he sneered and released the power of his primordial spirit. No matter what, it's just a scroll. No matter how strong he is, he can't possibly be a match for Wu Zun's nascent spirit. In the next moment, the power of the primordial spirit burst forth and charged fiercely into the painting. In an instant, rays of light burst out from the scroll. The ripples on the surface became more and more intense, and the resistance grew stronger and stronger. However, in front of Tianyang, it was still extremely weak. In less than 3 seconds, the power of Wu Zun's fifth-tier primordial spirit destroyed this resistance and unraveled the scroll. At this moment, the scroll suddenly rose into the air. Pieces of ancient and ordinary yellow paper fell from above. When they landed on the ground, they turned into energy and dissipated into the air. As the withered leaves fell to the ground, the entire picture scroll emitted its strongest light. Boom! A mark appeared and instantly released rays of Xinguang. The entire room was shaking. If not for Tianyang forcefully suppressing it, the entire room would have been destroyed. It seems that the origin of this scroll is not small. Tianyang was not affected at all. He remained unmoved as the wind blew. His eyes burned as he stared at the imprint. It was mysterious, powerful, and carried rays of dazzling light. However, the power inside seemed to have been exhausted, so there was not much pressure. However, relatively speaking, this power was enough to easily kill any spiritual sea realm cultivator. The gale lasted for 3 minutes. Then, the entire scroll returned to its calm state. Bang! It fell into Tianyang's hands. Tianyang did not have to do it himself. The picture scroll automatically flipped open, revealing the first page. Ever since the apocalyptic calamity 3 years ago, our martial civilization has been almost completely destroyed. We had no choice but to leave the inheritance in the sky market for future generations to open and rebuild our martial arts civilization. Tianyang did not recognize any of the words on the picture scroll. However, the moment Tianyang's primordial spirit touched them, the information they represented surged into Tianyang's body. Tianyang's eyes narrowed slightly. 3 years ago. This was relative to the picture scroll. In fact, the history of the picture scroll was close to 10,000 years. Including these 3 years, it was exactly 10,000 years ago. We've discovered that even though we're still alive, we're still experiencing bursts of difficulties with the cultivation techniques we're practicing. It seemed that a trace of the martial arts foundation of this world had been taken away. This was reflected in other cultivators and even in the Saint realm. The second page flipped open automatically, revealing more information. We had no choice but to open up small worlds in the sky market to store the inheritance. We also left restrictions to attract the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to ensure that the spiritual chi would not be destroyed if the heavenly tribulation did not come. However, after doing all this, we no longer had the time to leave the sky market picture scroll for future generations. At this point, all the words on the picture scroll completely disappeared. All that was left was a map. It was easy to identify the map. Although Jiangbei City might not have been established 10,000 years ago, the Xianjiang that had existed since ancient times was easy to identify. There was a red heart in the center of the map. The martial arts foundation has been taken away, and the cultivation method is difficult to operate? Tianyang muttered to himself. Tianyang did not know if the martial arts foundation of the Tianshao Great World had been taken away. After all, one had to be at least at the peak of the Wu Zun realm or even the Saint realm to explore the foundation of an entire great world. Tianyang had only been at the peak of the Heaven Ascension realm in his previous life. How could he have been qualified to touch the heart of the world? However, the Xiantian Great World was different. It seemed that Wu Zun could only be the overlord of a state here. Looking at the Xiantian Great World, there were countless states and Wu Zun realms. In the northern wilderness desert and the divine central continent, Wu Zun was probably nothing. The Saint realm, or even those above the Saint realm, were the masters of the world. It would not be a problem for such an existence to touch the heart of the world. This is somewhat similar to the Tianshao Great World. However, the Tianshao Great World is a new world. It is not as large and mature as the Xiantian Great World. The martial arts foundation is not as stable as the Xiantian Great World. Is that why the cultivation method system disappeared completely? However, because the Tianshao Great World is in its prime and has a strong recovery ability, a martial spirit was born after the cultivation method system disappeared. That is why the martial arts was not completely destroyed. Looking at the Xiantian Great World, there is no martial spirit. Tianyang muttered to himself, his eyes shining brightly. He felt that he was closer to the truth of the great destruction of civilization. But now, it is more important to deal with the evil Buddhist cultivators outside. Chapter 935. Yang Tian. Get your ass out here and die. Just as Tianyang finished talking to himself, a thunderous sound came from outside the door. The entire sky was instantly dyed red with blood, emitting an eerie aura. It felt like an immortal with a hint of evilness. The Lu family was shaken. Before Tianyang came out, the head of the Lu family, Lu Fenglu, had already flown out and looked at the newcomer. At this moment, he noticed. The entire sky of Jiangbei City was dyed red by this demonic blood. It was very easy for a heavenly ascension realm fighter to change the sky and earth in a small area in a short period of time. However, the entire Jiangbei City was extremely vast, comparable to some small countries. It was also guarded by the half-step Wu Zun. The space here was supposed to be impregnable, but it was still so easily changed. The newcomer's strength was extraordinary. Who are you? What business do you have with Master Yang? Lu Fenglu looked at the man in black under a black and red robe and asked. Although he knew that the newcomer had ill intentions as the head of the family, he still had to have the necessary skills. And who are you? The man in black looked at Lu Fenglu coldly, his face full of disdain. How dare a heavenly ascension realm fighter speak to me? In the battle of the Zhou family, Lu Fenglu had profited from a disaster and broken through the last line. Although his strength didn't increase much, his cultivation had increased. Otherwise, the Lu family wouldn't have been able to swallow such a big bone of the many aristocratic families in Jiangbei City so easily. You! Hearing this, Lu Fenglu, who had just broken through and was full of himself, looked terrible. You're only a heavenly ascension realm fighter. I'm already lowering my status by talking to you. Where did you get the guts to speak to me like that? Lu Fenglu sneered. Hearing this, the eyes of the man in black, hidden under his robe, suddenly changed. It became extremely sinister and terrifying. Me! The man in black said, his voice extremely cold. A heavenly ascension realm fighter dares to speak to the Blood Buddha sect like that? I think you're courting death. The next moment, the man in black suddenly attacked. The black Buddhist prayer beads in his hand glowed with a bloody light and shot toward Lu Fenglu. Who's afraid of you? Lu Fenglu snorted coldly as he met the attack head-on. Profound shattering finger. Lu Fenglu made his move. Channeling the Lu clan's martial arts, he gathered his true yuan and struck out with a finger. Profound shattering finger, a low-grade heaven-class martial skill. Seeing that Lu Fenglu had used a killing move right from the start, the elders of the Lu clan who had rushed over upon hearing the news heaved a sigh of relief. No matter how strong the black-clothed man was, he was only at the 6th level of the Heaven Ascension stage, a whole level lower than Lu Fenglu, who was at the 7th level of the Heaven Ascension stage. Lu Fenglu didn't dare to underestimate his opponent. This time around, he could easily deal with them. However, upon seeing this, the black-clothed man suddenly let out a sharp and ear-piercing laugh. You dare to be impudent in front of me with such means? Lord Blood Buddha, send down the boundless Buddhist light and annihilate all living beings. The man in black used a strange accent and chanted a series of incantations at a high speed. Then, the entire heavens and earth trembled slightly. The blood-colored Bodhi glow expanded 3 times its original size as if it was assisted by a deity. How is this possible? Seeing this, Lu Fenglu's pupils shrank. The previous move was already an extremely powerful attack for a 6th level of the Heaven Ascension stage. Even when Lu Fenglu was at the 6th level of the Heaven Ascension stage, it was extremely difficult to condense an attack of this level. But now, this black-clothed man could actually strengthen it again? Damn it! Profound shattering finger, break for me! Lu Fenglu roared angrily. The golden finger released streaks of dazzling light that fiercely collided with the blood-colored Bodhi glow. In the end, it was easily destroyed. Pwah! Lu Fenglu suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body flew backward and crashed heavily into the wall. His internal organs felt as if they were burning. On his chest, Streaks of blood-colored Bodhi energy slowly condensed and continuously eroded his body. How is this possible? Seeing this, the Lu clan's Grand Elder's expression changed drastically. He was very clear about Lu Fenglio's strength. In the entire Jiangbei city, he was one of the top experts. After Tang Lingfeng's death, he was even vaguely second only to the Jiangbei city governor. But in the end, he couldn't even withstand a single blow from this black-clothed man who was at the 6th level of the Heaven Ascension stage? The Blood Buddha sect. So you're from the Blood Buddha sect? At this moment Lu Fenglu spoke in shock. He spat out a mouthful of blood and forcefully expelled the blood-colored Bodhi glow. However, expelling the blood-colored Bodhi glow consumed a lot of Lu Fenglio's vitality. At this moment Lu Fenglio's face was pale. I've already said it before, but you didn't listen. The black-clothed man sneered. That sharp voice sounded again. Yang Tian, why don't you get out here? You killed my junior brother and humiliated the Blood Buddha sect. Are you going to be a coward like this? The black-clothed man said angrily. Come out quickly, or don't blame me for slaughtering this T Lu family. What? Hearing this, the Lu clan's Grand Elder's face turned pale. Everyone had witnessed the black-clothed man's strength. It was definitely far beyond Lu Fenglio's. It was not impossible for him to destroy the Lu family. If Tianyang really did not make a move, there was a possibility that he would succeed. However, Master Yang just went through a big battle. He might still be recuperating. Even if he can kill Tang Lingfeng, he might not be able to destroy this Blood Buddha sect murderer. The Lu clan's Grand Elder said with a pale face. At this moment, the black-clothed man moved. Went through a big battle? He only found out that Tianyang was now staying in the Lu family. He did not pay much attention to the rest. However, this news was obviously helpful to him. So he went through a big battle? That's great. How dare you humiliate the Blood Buddha sect? You should be prepared to die. Yang Tian, you still don't want to come out? The black-clothed man laughed. At this moment, Tianyang slowly walked out of the door. A piece of trash is not qualified for me to make a move. Are you done chattering in front of my door? Tianyang looked at the black-clothed man indifferently, revealing a look of disdain. Hearing this, the black-clothed man's face turned ugly. He was just about to say something. A figure suddenly appeared beside him. It was the same as the black-clothed man. Wearing a black and red robe, his entire body was enveloped in it. However, this time, his face was revealed. Wilderness Butcher Lei Dunk. 30 years ago, he slaughtered the Qin family, which was once close to the 4 great clans. Lu Fenglio's pupils constricted when he saw this person. I didn't expect that there would still be people who remember my name. Lei Dunk smiled slightly. Is it enough with me? No. Tianyang shook his head, his face as calm as an ancient well. Then what about Desert Death God Zethny? Another person appeared beside Lei Dunk. He displayed the aura of a Heaven Ascension Stage 8th level. Heaven Ascension Stage 6th level. 7th level. 8th level. Powerhouses of the 3 major realms had all arrived. Countless people looked at the 3 powerhouses in the sky with a look of despair. They did not know the first person, but the remaining 2. They were all evil and had a fierce reputation. Looking at the 3 of them, Tianyang's expression did not change. Under the gaze of countless powerhouses who rushed over after hearing the news, he shook his head. Chapter 936. It's still not enough. Tianyang's indifferent voice sounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. Still not enough? The black-clothed man in LV6, whose name was unknown, was extremely powerful. The man in LV7, who was known as the Butcher of the Wilderness and had personally annihilated the Qin family in Jiangbei City. The man in LV8, Sethi, who was known as the Death God of the Desert and was fearless in the southern part of Xianjiang City. Any one of these 3 powerhouses could cause another upheaval in Jiangbei City. In Master Yang's eyes, they were still not enough for him to make a move? Not to mention the three of you, even if the half-step Wu Zun or the leader of your Blood Buddha sect were to make a move, they would still be mediocre. Tianyang chuckled, not taking them seriously at all. He hadn't just been cultivating these past few days. Tianyang had already refined one Heaven Spirit Xian pill through 3 sets of herbs. After all, the grade of the Heaven Spirit Xian pill was higher than all the pills that Tianyang had refined before. It was impossible to succeed every time. It was already commendable to have a 1/3 success rate on the first try. Through the Heaven Spirit Xian pill, Tianyang had reignited his undying bloodline. Now, he only needed time to recover his original cultivation of LV1, Wu Zun. Naturally, he didn't take these 3, who hadn't even reached the peak of Heaven Spirit Xian pill, seriously. Good. Hearing Tianyang's disregard for them, Lei Dunki was thoroughly enraged. A light flashed in his hand, and an arc-shaped machete full of sawtooth appeared in his hand. Surging baleful aura was released from the curved machete. Sensing the murderous aura, the faces of the crowd paled slightly. This was the weapon that had been used to annihilate the Qin family. Destroying the Qin family wouldn't be able to accumulate even 1% of this murderous aura. It was unknown how many people Lei Dunki had killed to accumulate so much murderous aura. Just this baleful aura alone was probably enough to make a spiritual ocean realm cultivator lose his mind forever. Transferring the murderous aura to the weapon is also a good choice. Zhou Changkong's brain is also stiff. However, if the murderous aura is transferred to the weapon, it will not be able to give birth to spiritual intelligence. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a look of interest. Just as this guy revealed his machete and released a boundless murderous aura, Tianyang felt a strong impulse from the stick's sword. He had the urge to shatter the murderous aura and devour it. In terms of quantity, the murderous spirits were far less than the murderous spirits on Ridonk's machete. However, in terms of quality, the spirit of baleful Qi was much stronger. At this moment, the evil spirit had already transformed into the sword spirit of the stick's sword. As long as it absorbed enough evil spirit and used good materials to refine it, the stick sword might become a half-saint weapon one day. Not bad. It looks delicious. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled up slightly. He released his true yuan, which had recovered to LV3 of the Heaven Ascension realm. He grabbed at the air with his right hand and the pitch-black stick's sword appeared. LV3 of the Heaven Ascension realm? Ridonk was stunned. Lu Fenglu was stunned. Zhou Changkong was stunned as well. Almost everyone was stunned. Tianyang had used the power of his primordial spirit and his physical strength in the previous battles. Even the few moves of the Tao of creation and destruction were forcefully executed by using his understanding of the holy path to attract the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Since he could not use his true yuan, there was no aura leaking out. Everyone thought that Tianyang's cultivation was high. But now LV3 of the Heaven Ascension realm. With such a cultivation, he had broken the Sky Peng Saint slaughtering formation and killed Tang Lingfeng, Wei Yuntian, Wei Xiaotian, and Tang Pengfei. Those who knew about Master Yang's past achievements were shocked. Those who did not know, such as Ridonk, were furious. A mere LV3 of the Heaven Ascension realm dares to be so arrogant in front of your Grandpa Lei? You're courting death. In the next moment, Ridonk brandished his machete and attacked. A streak of blood appeared on the machete and slashed at Tianyang's head. How dare he fool us? This Master Yang is too arrogant. Zusa's face was also filled with anger. A huge black axe appeared in his hand, and he charged at Tianyang. The black-clothed man activated the Black Buddha beads and gathered the power of the Blood Demon Buddha to attack. The three powerhouses attacked at the same time. Oh no! The current situation is even more difficult than the battle at the Zhou family. Zhou Changkong was the first to change his expression. He hurriedly looked at the city governor's mansion. At this point, only the half-step Wu Zun, the city governor of Jiangbei City, could save Tianyang. Back then, Tianyang had probably been in his best condition to be able to break the formation and kill the enemy. But now Tianyang had just recovered from his injuries after several battles. How could he block an attack that was even more terrifying than the battle at the Zhou family? However, in the city governor's mansion, the city governor of Jiangbei City looked at Tianyang emotionlessly. The old man at LV7 of the Heaven Ascension realm looked at him silently. A tree that stands out in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Master Yang is too outstanding. I didn't destroy him back then, and I don't have the chance now. Let the three of them destroy him. The city governor of Jiangbei City said indifferently. Tianyang's sudden appearance had ruined his plan. How could he not be angry? The reason why he didn't make a move was that cleaning up the mess was more important than killing Tianyang. But in fact, the city governor of Jiangbei City had always regarded Tianyang as a thorn in his side. He couldn't wait to get rid of him. Now that he had the chance, why would he go and rescue him? Make a trip there in an hour, the city governor of Jiangbei City said. Hearing this, the old man was instantly terrified. This move. It was too ruthless. Half an hour was more than enough time for a 3-versus-1 battle to end 10 battles. And if he went there, it would only show that the city governor's mansion wouldn't sit idly by. As for Tianyang's life, it had long been decided. Yes. However, although the old man didn't agree in his heart, he could only agree. The city governor of Jiangbei City looked at the Liu family again. It was time for the battle to end. Soul Flame. Tyrant Divine Blade. Blood Buddha descends. Zuzn, Ledink, and the Man in Black. At the same time, they activated their true ether and released their strongest attack, just to kill Tianyang this time. Boom. A terrifying explosion resounded through the sky. In the city governor's mansion, the city governor of Jiangbei City closed his eyes. The victory is decided. Streams of hot smoke erupted from the center of the collision, covering the entire sky above the Liu family. Blood Buddha sect, wait a moment. Prepare the earth Reiki and treasures that should be given to us. After the attack, Ledink also lost the patience to continue watching. He looked at the Man in Black and sneered. Yes. The Man in Black also relaxed his vigilance and chuckled. Zuzn didn't speak, but he had already retracted his giant axe. In their eyes, how could a LV3 reaching heaven state block the full blow of the three of them? Is this what you're counting on? However, at this moment, a familiar voice sounded. The next moment, a terrifying sword light pierced through the sky and earth, sweeping across the 4 seas and cutting through the 8 barren lands. Sky Sword Technique, Sword of Firmament. Boom. Buddha said, there are 60 moments in a snap of the finger, and 900 lives and deaths in an instant. This sword slashed out in just a snap of the finger. However, it directly cut off the necks of the 3 powerful figures who decided the lives and deaths of millions of people. Blood splattered and heads flew. They were beheaded on the spot. I've told you, but you're still not enough. Tianyang smiled faintly and walked out of the smoke. On his body, rolling black flames were burning, blocking all attacks. Now, have you decided to die? Tianyang beckoned the 3 souls and chuckled. P.S. I wish everyone a happy new year and everything goes smoothly. Pepsi, all is well. Chapter 937. Zeus, the god of desert death, and Redonk, the butcher of the wilderness, were both tyrannical and brutal lone wolves in the East Sea state. They had been independent practitioners from the body refining state to the reaching heaven state, so they knew the current situation very well. Therefore, Zeus and Redonk didn't want to run away at all. Instead, they were summoned by Tianyang, trembling in fear. Only then did they see it clearly. What on earth was the black flame burning on Tianyang's body? Spiritual fire, Redonk said in horror. He didn't look like a burly man at all. Although he had turned into a translucent soul, he still looked terrified. Hearing the words spiritual fire, Zeus' pupils shrank. His face changed greatly, and he couldn't help but shrink back. Spiritual fire had a strong restraining effect on souls. Although they couldn't tell what level of spiritual fire Tianyang's true flame of destruction was, they could tell. It was the unique wave of spiritual fire. In their current state, as long as the true flame of destruction on Tianyang's body fell on them, they would be burned to ashes. Tell me, Tianyang said indifferently. He didn't show any respect to these two guys who wanted to kill him. However, the men in black on Tianyang's left didn't have such a good treatment. At this moment, the true flame of destruction was eroding their soul defense and was about to break it. He had the spiritual fire in his left hand, and Redonk and Zeus were in his right hand. As long as you promise to spare our lives, Zeus said in a trembling voice, glancing at the men in black who were being burned by the spiritual fire in fear. You don't have the right to choose, Tianyang said indifferently. Hearing this, Zeus' face showed a trace of depression. He knew that he was going to die in Jiangbei City after running rampant in the East Sea state. However, compared to being burned to death by the spiritual fire, it was better to let Tianyang kill them quickly. Redonk and I grew up together. We obtained a remnant cultivation technique in the slums and embarked on the path of cultivation. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by Tianyang. I don't want to listen to your nonsense. All right. Zeus looked at Tianyang with resentment. He still wanted to stall for time and escape. 7 days ago, this black-clothed man from the Blood Buddha sect found something. He promised to give us 200,000 Reiki and 3 top-grade spiritual artifacts. He also asked us to deal with you. Although we are powerful in the East Sea state, we don't have much money on us, so we naturally agreed. After that, we investigated some information and made our move. Unexpectedly, we were killed by you and ended up in such a state, Zeus said. Hearing that, Tianyang nodded slightly. Were they hired? If that was the case, even they wouldn't know anything about the black-clothed man. All right, then go to hell, Tianyang said indifferently. The next moment, Tianyang rubbed his fingers. Zeus and Redonk's souls were directly destroyed by Tianyang's rubbing. From then on, there was no more desert reaper or wilderness butcher in the East Sea state. Tianyang didn't want to let go of such bloodthirsty people. Since he had offended them, he had to eliminate them completely. Moreover, they wanted to attack him. Then next, Tianyang smiled and spoke again. However, at this time, the black-clothed man whose defense had been broken and whose body was covered in flames suddenly raised his head and glared at Tianyang with resentment. Haha! Don't even think about getting any information from me. So what if you have spiritual fire? I have plenty of ways to deal with you. Light of the Blood Buddha! The black-clothed man roared. The next moment, he actually repelled the true flames of destruction around him. The next moment, his soul suddenly shone with fluctuating light in all directions. It seemed that he was going to self-destruct. Self-destruct? You're thinking too much. Tianyang smiled slightly and waved his hand. 5 stars appeared. 7-star secret technique, star imprisonment. Tianyang said indifferently. Wu Zun's 5th-level primordial spirit power surged out. It turned into chains of stars and tightly wrapped around the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man was horrified to find that his self-destruction had stopped, and no matter how he used the soul power in his body, it was difficult to use it. It was firmly bound by those chains. Then, Tianyang took out a small jade bottle from his space bag. A trace of true flames of destruction flowed into it. Now, I'm still worried about where to draw energy to heal my injuries. Your Blood Buddha sect delivered itself to my door. I'm too lazy to hear anything from your mouth. Anyway, it's nothing more than some bullshit Blood Buddha sect trick. I'll just break it with a sword. Tianyang smiled slightly. Then, He threw the black-clothed man who was bound by the star chains into the small jade bottle. Aha! The moment the black-clothed man touched the true flames of destruction, the black flame in the small jade bottle instantly bloomed. With the star chains as the fuse, it swallowed the black-clothed man. Yang Tian, if you kill me, my master, Master Fogu, will not let you go, the black-clothed man screamed. However, at this time, Tianyang had already corked the bottle. Tianyang did not kill him because the immortal fire needed all kinds of energy to heal his injuries. The energy in Ladonk and Zeus was too heterogeneous and impure. It was more difficult to devour it. However, this black-clothed man had obviously cultivated the demonic Buddha technique of the Blood Buddha sect from the beginning. The energy in his body was pure demonic Buddha technique vital essence. If he wanted to devour it, he only needed to filter it once to succeed. Compared to Ladonk and Thurston, he was much higher. If Redonk and Zeus knew that Tianyang had been disdainful of them even after they died, what would they think? I can't kill them all at once. This guy's recovery should be enough for me to devour him 8 to 10 times. After that, it won't be too late to burn him to death. The corner of Tianyang's mouth curled up slightly. He felt the constant howls coming from the small jade bottle. His face was expressionless. Tianyang would not show mercy to those who wanted to kill him. As for now, I don't know much about the sky market. However, the Blood Buddha sect is the source of energy. Tianyang smiled slightly. In the next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. Below, everyone in Jiangbei City was already stunned. The 3 powerhouses were all killed by Tianyang alone. How strong was Tianyang? I'll give these 2 guys space bags to you. Tianyang stepped into the air and threw down Ladonk and Zeus space bags. He had already scanned them before. There was nothing else he needed. What about you, Master Yang? Me? Tianyang smiled slightly. Chapter 938. Whoosh, whoosh. Above the East Sea State, a stream of light flashed across the sky. Even the spiritual shuttles that were on their way were left far behind. It was Tianyang. At Tianyang's level, treasures and spirit weapons were of little use to Tianyang. For example, when Tianyang was in the Sea of Soul Realm, the heavenly pagoda was just an ordinary means of transportation. If he accelerated too much, it could even crumble. It wasn't as fast as Tianyang using his physical body to travel through the void. The Blood Buddha sect is really powerful. As a heretical sect that everyone wants to kill, they're still sitting so openly in the desert. I really don't know if they're just daring because they're skilled or just plain stupid. Tianyang smiled as he held the location of the black-clothed man's mouth in his hand. This guy had been stubborn before he'd been burned. He'd rather die than give up any information. However, after being burned a few times by the true flames of destruction, his mental defenses had completely collapsed. Tianyang would answer any question he asked. He'd completely lost the arrogance he'd shown when he'd charged into the Lu family and defeated Lu Fenglu in one blow. The Blood Buddha sect knows what it means to conceal themselves. Although they have exposed a lot of their positions, their actual combat strength is much stronger than what the rumors say. The Blood Buddha sect that Qi Linlang mentioned was at most on the same level as the Empyrean Palace and the Western region's Buddhist sections. But now, I'm afraid the ancient shrine is just trash in front of the Blood Buddha sect. Tianyang murmured to himself. From the information he'd obtained from the black-clothed man, the Blood Buddha sect was definitely a supreme overlord in the Tianshao Great World, the kind that could rule the entire world. A half-step Wu Zun sect leader. 3 Peak Ascension Realm Vice sect leaders. There were also 8 elders in Ascension Realm LV6 to LV7, as well as most of the deacons and disciples below LV5. There were less than 100 people in the entire Blood Buddha sect, but they hid a terrifying power. No wonder no one dared to wipe out the Blood Buddha sect in the East Sea Prefecture despite their notorious reputation. It turned out that it was because of this enormous strength. This level of strength had far surpassed Jiangbei City, which was the third largest city in the East Sea state. It was probably not much weaker than the second largest city. Unless the real Wu Zun made a move, or if a force far stronger than the Blood Buddha sect came out in full force, it would be impossible to destroy them. What people feared the most about the evil path was not their evil cultivation technique. Instead, it was the kind of mentality that even if they were to die, they would drag you down with them. If they were lucky enough to survive, they would do anything to take revenge. However, the half-step Wu Zun has already gone to the Western Buddha Pure Land for a long time. Although the remaining Blood Buddha sect has various kinds of experts, they are not a threat. Tianyang smiled. His current strength had only recovered to the 9th tier of the Heaven Ascension realm. If he encountered a half-step Wu Zun, he probably wouldn't be able to deal with him without using his trump card. It was just like how Tianyang had used words to force the governor of Jiangbei City to retreat instead of using strength to suppress him. If the Blood Buddha sect's leader was still here, Tianyang wouldn't be so foolish as to provoke him. But if he wasn't, don't think that you can shake the entire Blood Buddha sect just because you killed those two pieces of trash, Ladonk and Zeason. Even if the leader isn't here, don't even think about attacking the Blood Buddha sect. The Blood Buddha sect has the protection of the Blood Demon Buddha. How can a mere mortal like you deal with us? If you know what's good for you, let me go quickly and let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, the black-clothed man let out a sigh of relief and spoke again. Although he was in extreme pain from Tianyang's true flames of destruction, he still had great confidence in the Blood Buddha sect. After all, although the desert death god Zeason and the wilderness butcher Ladonk were powerful, they were only at the bottom of the 7th and 8th levels of the heavenly completion realm. For these rogue practitioners without any inheritance, even if they raised their cultivation, it would be extremely difficult for them to reach the peak of this realm. After all, most of the rogue cultivators used whatever cultivation technique they had. Along the way of cultivation, there were countless cultivation techniques that they had changed. Although changing one's cultivation method didn't have much of an effect, if rogue practitioners changed their cultivation method too much, it would cause their true yuan to be in an extremely bad state. If Tianyang hadn't created the divine desolate sky spirit art himself, he would probably have ended up in the same situation. The black-clothed man was extremely confident. Even if Tianyang had killed a heavenly completion realm level 8, he was only the weakest of them. In front of the elites of the Blood Buddha sect, the desert death god was nothing but a chicken or a pottery dog. Noisy. If you don't shut up, just wait for the flames to come earlier. Tianyang glanced at the black-clothed man and spoke indifferently. Tianyang had also dug out this guy's background. He was Lin Tianrong's senior brother, who had disguised himself as the Grand Elder of the Qi family and was exposed by Tianyang before being killed by Tianyang. As for his master, Master Fogu, also known as Fogu Supremacy, was one of the vice leaders of the Blood Buddha sect. He was at the peak of Heavenly Completion Realm Level 8. The current Tianyang wasn't too troublesome to deal with. You! The black-clothed man shut up. Compared to Tianyang begging for mercy, his own life was more important. The destructive power of the spiritual fire towards the soul was simply too great. Even with the black-clothed man's cultivation, it was difficult for him to resist Tianyang's true flames of destruction. After absorbing so much true flames of destruction, it was already close to a level 7 spiritual fire. It was naturally impossible for the black-clothed man to resist. We're here. At this moment, Tianyang raised his brows and looked at the slightly distorted space below with a chuckle. He stopped in his tracks and waved his hand. The distorted space was unable to block his vision. He was also able to see the many majestic palaces below. Temples, palaces, and all kinds of divine temples. Compared to a sect of cultivators, the Blood Buddha sect was more like a branch of a religion. Just wait for your death. The black-clothed man snorted coldly and said no more. This was because Tianyang had already activated the true flames of destruction and started the 5th round of energy absorption. So this is the Blood Buddha sect? It is somewhat similar to the power of the Buddhist sections. However, it is much weaker. However, compared to Lin Tianrong's Blood Buddha power, this place is still purer. Tianyang smiled faintly. In the next moment, the true yuan of a Heaven Ascension stage level 3 circulated. What appeared in his hand wasn't the stick sword, but all heaven's sword. 10,000 swords in origin. Tianyang waved his long sword, condensed true yuan, and slashed downwards violently. Boom! A resplendent sword light caused the surrounding space to explode. Before the Blood Buddha sect's disciples could react, the sword light exploded. The sword had already struck the Blood Buddha sect. Boom! In an instant, dozens of palaces collapsed. Chapter 939. Boom! Compared to the black-clothed man's shouting, Tianyang's attack was more direct and decisive. He directly slashed out with his sword, killing countless enemies. You. The black-clothed man was stunned. He didn't expect Tianyang to attack like this. It was so sudden that he killed several people. All's fair in war. You're about to kill, yet you're still shouting. If you're not a fool, then what are you? Tianyang smiled, and in the next moment, his figure flashed. He directly killed his way into the Blood Buddha sect. Everyone be on guard. An enemy is attacking. In the central hall of the Blood Buddha sect, an old man instantly sensed the terrifying fluctuations coming from outside the door and shouted. His voice rumbled and instantly spread throughout the entire Blood Buddha sect. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. An enemy attack? The Blood Buddha sect had been standing in the desert of Jiangnan for countless years. In the beginning, there were unknown people who came to suppress them. In recent years, they had reached an agreement with the major forces of the East Sea state. As long as they expanded within a certain range, they didn't care how many people they killed, and no one would attack them. But now they didn't do anything, and someone came to kill them? It's probably some hot-blooded guy who lost his mind. Does he really think that he can humiliate the Blood Buddha sect just because the sect leader isn't here? A Peak Ascension Realm Level 5 deacon sneered, his face full of disdain. There were many people like this in recent years, but most of them were outside the door and refined into a part of the Blood Buddha sect. There were very few people who came in like this. Only at this level could it be considered an enemy attack. However, this guy can only stop here. Our Blood Buddha sect isn't that easy to provoke. The deacon laughed loudly, and in the next moment, his body turned into a blood-colored stream of light and rushed out. At this time, Tianyang casually slashed with his sword, destroying all the buildings at the door. The Blood Buddha sect was, in fact, a huge group of divine temples. Every time Tianyang destroyed a temple, the power of faith of the Blood Demon Buddha would weaken slightly. Of course, Tianyang swallowed this sliver of energy and turned it into fuel for the undying flame. Damn you! Do you know what you are doing? It was only at this moment that the attendant arrived. Seeing that the majority of the palaces had been reduced to rubble, the attendant's pupils immediately shrank as he roared furiously. The Blood Buddha sect was made up of devout believers of the Blood Demon Buddha. Now, Tianyang had forced his way in, destroyed the door, and destroyed the temple. He had already touched the reverse scale of these believers. It's Deacon Lu. Lord Deacon Lu is the strongest deacon in the Blood Buddha sect. With Deacon Lu's help, this guy from who knows where will definitely die. At this moment, the disciples of the Blood Buddha sect cried out in alarm when they saw the enraged deacon. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Deacon Lu. Lu Xing. He was the strongest of the 20 deacons of the Blood Buddha sect, at the peak of Heaven Ascension Stage 5. He was comparable to some of the weaker elders, and was the weakest of the 8 elders. He had even admitted that he wasn't Deacon Lu's match. Normally, Deacon Lu wouldn't have to do anything when someone came to attack. But now Deacon Lu had arrived. This person was definitely going to die. Peak of Heaven Ascension Stage 5? At this moment, Tianyang raised his head and raised an eyebrow, revealing a look of interest. You want to stop me with this level of skill? Arrogant kid. Deacon Lu was furious when he heard this. He glared at Tianyang as blood-colored Buddha light gathered in his hands. The Blood Buddha sect was different from the Buddhist sects of the blessed lands of the West. Apart from the ritual of worshipping Buddha, there were almost no other rules in the Blood Buddha sect. Because of that, Deacon Lu actually also had hair. Although Tianyang didn't understand the situation of the Buddhist sects in the Xiantian Great World, since it was a Buddhist sect, it had to be closely related to the Gautama Buddha, who had descended to the Tianshao Great World and established the Buddhist sects in the western region. Of course, they couldn't kill people. But the Blood Buddha sect didn't just kill people, they slaughtered wantonly. As for the other rules and regulations, they weren't much. Buddha soul-devouring fist. At this moment, Deacon Lu's True Yuan, which was at the peak of Heaven Ascension Stage 5, activated the Blood Buddha sect's technique, and threw a punch at Tianyang. Seeing that Tianyang didn't dodge or evade, Deacon Lu's face broke into a savage and carefree smile. His punch didn't just target the physical body, but also the soul. Even the Eighth Elder had to treat it with caution. This kid, whose aura was only at Heaven Ascension Stage 3, would definitely die if he was hit by this punch. I don't know why, but the people of the Xiantian Great World are especially fond of playing with souls. Tianyang spoke leisurely. Looking at the Buddha soul-devouring fist that was already in front of him, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. They probably think I'm easy to bully. In the next moment, Tianyang spoke again. Roar. 108 ancestral dragon tattoos bloomed, and the rolling dragon power gathered at Tianyang's throat. A loud and clear dragon roar was released from Tianyang's throat. There are many things in the Dragon Emperor's inheritance that I haven't used yet. For example, this Dragon King's soul-shattering roar. Tianyang smiled faintly. Then, without moving, he looked at Deacon Lu quietly. At this moment, Deacon Lu was frozen in midair after being hit by the Dragon King's soul-shattering roar. His fist was only 3 inches away from the tip of Tianyang's nose. But these 3 inches, it was like the end of the world. Puff, puff, puff. A series of noises rang out in this silent space. In the next moment, Deacon Lu's eyes, nose, mouth, and ears were bleeding from all 7 orifices. Blood mist spurted out of all the pores on his body. Deacon Lu was dead. The power of a single roar was terrifying. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the Blood Buddha sect disciples were all stunned, and they revealed looks of disbelief. They couldn't believe it. In the Blood Buddha sect, the most famous and powerful deacon, Deacon Lu, bled to death from all 7 orifices under this roar. Deacon Lu used a heaven-grade martial technique. A Sea of Soul Realm Blood Buddha sect disciple murmured. At this moment, the other Blood Buddha sect disciples suddenly reacted. Not good. Hurry and run. He's coming. That woke them up from their daze. Many Blood Buddha sect disciples couldn't be bothered to be shocked. They immediately used their True Yuan and rushed into the Blood Buddha sect. They knew that if they ran out, it would be impossible for them to escape. Only by going inside and seeking the protection of the elders would they have a chance to escape from this seemingly young demon. Want to escape? Seeing this, Tianyang's lips curled into a smile. If it's so easy to escape, wouldn't I lose face? In the next moment, Tianyang swung his sword. Sky-grade sword art, sky-shattering. True flames of destruction burned. Boom. Chapter 940. Deacon Lu was dead. Dozens of Blood Buddha sect disciples were all dead. Ever since the Blood Buddha sect was founded, they had never suffered such a huge loss. Ah! A furious roar suddenly erupted from the depths of the Blood Buddha sect. I'm going to kill you! In the next moment, a blood-colored flowing light that was much faster than Deacon Lu's flew out of the main hall. At the same time, A saber light that carried boundless killing intent flew out as well. Die! An aged and furious voice rang out. Tianyang's expression didn't change as he waved the all-heavens sword in his hand. A sword light broke through space, and at the same time, it broke through the saber light. You dare to come out and embarrass yourself with such little ability? Tianyang smiled faintly as he spoke. At this moment, the blood-colored flowing light revealed its original form. It was an old man dressed in a black and red robe, just like the black-robed man, but with an aged face. At this moment, the old man's muscles were tense, the veins on his forehead bulging, and his pupils constricted. It was obvious that he was extremely furious. How dare you break into the Blood Buddha sect's mountain gate, kill my deacon, and slaughter my disciples? Kid, you've got guts. The old man roared. I, the fifth elder of the Blood Buddha sect, will cut you down with my saber today. In the next moment, the old man's figure suddenly disappeared. The blood-colored saber in his hand also erupted with terrifying blood-colored Buddha light. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. At this moment, Tianyang chuckled lightly and pointed with his finger. A sharp ray of light pierced through the void and exploded towards a certain spot in space. Boom! An aged figure suddenly appeared in space, and with a look of disbelief, he fell heavily to the ground. His pupils constricted, and his soul shattered. He couldn't be more dead. The fifth elder of the Blood Buddha sect, a Heaven Ascension Stage 6 elite, was killed by Tianyang just like that. How is this possible? In the depths of the Blood Buddha sect, the third elder who was in charge of daily affairs exclaimed in shock. In the next moment, 3 other elders rushed out. Humph! After killing 2 reaching Heaven State warriors in a row, this guy must have suffered serious injuries. His fighting prowess shouldn't be so terrifying. If the 3 of us join forces and form a battle formation, we will definitely be able to kill this person. An elder said angrily, his killing intent surging. Tianyang's sudden attack, destruction of the mountain gate, and wantonly slaughtering the Blood Buddha sect's disciples had long since driven them to the extreme. Now it was time to unleash his murderous intent. Who are you? Just as Tianyang was about to step inside and continue his massacre, he was attacked by 3 old men. Blood Buddha sect's 8th elder. 7th elder of the Blood Buddha sect. Blood Buddha sect's 6th elder. The 3 old men harumphed. We don't kill nameless people. Who are you? Tell us your name. At the same time, the 3 old men formed hand seals, and the black Buddhist beads hanging from their necks suddenly rose up. The 3 of them connected with each other and actually formed a triangular battle formation, surrounding Tianyang in the middle. Me? Sensing that he was surrounded by a battle formation, Tianyang raised his eyebrows, but his expression didn't change at all. Yang Tian. Yang Tian? The 3 old men were stunned. Then, the 6th elder's pupils shrank and he said, You're Yang Tian, the one who killed Lin Tianrong and ruined the Blood Buddha sect's plan? But didn't we already send Lord Fogu Venerable's disciple to kill you? Why? The 6th elder's expression was replaced by shock before he finished speaking. The person who was supposed to kill him was gone, and the person who was supposed to be killed was at his doorstep. It was obvious. Lord Fogu Venerable's disciple was already dead. How dare you kill Lord Fogu Venerable's disciple? Boy, you're dead. The 6th elder reacted quickly, and then a greedy look appeared on his face. Lord Fogu Venerable valued his disciples very much. Lin Tianrong was just a nominal disciple, so he was insignificant, but he sent another disciple to kill him. This disciple was even more important than Lin Tianrong, but he's also dead. The 6th elder's face was filled with excitement. If Lord Fogu Venerable finds out, he'll definitely be furious. If I kill the culprit, then I can go to Lord Fogu Venerable to receive a reward. Lord Fogu Venerable is a peerless powerhouse at the peak of Heaven Ascension Stage LV8. If I get a reward from him, I'll definitely be able to break through to Heaven Ascension Stage LV7. Among the 8 great elders of the Blood Buddha sect, only the first 3 elders were at Heaven Ascension stage LV7. The 6th elder was at the peak of Heaven Ascension stage LV6. He was only a step away from Heaven Ascension stage LV7, but he had been hindering him for decades. If he could get a reward from Lord Fogu Venerable, it would mean that he was even closer to Heaven Ascension stage LV7. A chance to break through only once every few decades. 7th elder, 8th elder, attack with me! The 6th elder roared, and in the next moment, his true yuan at the peak of Heaven Ascension stage LV6 erupted. The 7th elder and 8th elder nodded at the same time, and in the next moment, an incomparably terrifying radiance erupted. Beneath Tianyang's feet, the true yuan of the 3 elders were like brush strokes, drawing a malevolent blood demon Buddha in the middle of the triangular battle formation. Back at the Lin family, Tianyang had seen the blood demon Buddha they worship. However, because the Lin family's level was too low, the blood demon Buddha they worshipped didn't have a clear face. At that time, Tianyang had only taken a hasty glance before destroying it. But now, the blood demon Buddha formed by the 3 elders was even more detailed and terrifying. Lord Blood Demon Buddha, please devour this rascal. The 6th elder roared excitedly. At the same time, the blood demon Buddha seemed to come to life. Rays of blood-red light were released, enveloping the heavenly sun within. Rays of purifying power filled with boundless evil chi acted on Tianyang's body. At the same time, countless shockwaves seemed to tear Tianyang's body apart. The methods of Buddhism are really monotonous. Tianyang shook his head, allowing the so-called blood demon Buddha battle formation to attack. Whether it was the purifying power or the bloody shockwave, it was as if they didn't exist on Tianyang's body. This, the 6th elder looked as if he had seen a ghost. He looked at Tianyang in disbelief. How could this be? The 3 of them were all experts of Heaven Ascension stage LV6 and above. The battle formation they formed could even match the 1st elder. Why couldn't they deal with a Heaven Ascension stage LV3? A weak stroke. Next, Tianyang shook his head, then stretched out his hand. Oh no! The 6th elder was the first to sense the danger. Without hesitation, he dispelled the battle formation and rushed inside. He left the 7th and 8th elders behind. 6th elder, you, the 8th elder said in disbelief. At this moment, Tianyang's sword had already slashed out. 10,000 returning swords. The sword light was like a shuttle, destroying everything in its path. Even the 6th elder, who could break the sound barrier in the blink of an eye, couldn't escape this sword. He was struck by this sword. Chapter 941. The so-called 3 great elders of the Blood Buddha sect were in front of Tianyang. They were defeated with a single blow. What weaklings! Tianyang shook his head and was speechless. He didn't know who gave this group of people the courage to charge in front of him. He didn't even fight back at the beginning and let the 3 of them form a battle formation and bombard him. In the end, he didn't even suffer any damage. That was true. Ordinary soul attacks, even if mixed with the power of faith, would never be able to destroy the primordial spirit of Wu Zun, whose cultivation was more than a major realm higher. They wouldn't even be able to injure him. Tianyang's physical body was the true body of the ancestral dragon, Wu Zun's body. Due to absorbing the essence of countless realms, his body was stronger than the average Wu Zun's body. It could be said that Tianyang was in an invincible position just by relying on his primordial spirit and physical body. Of course, it was only invincibility. With his current recovery rate, it was still more difficult to defeat the half-step Wu Zun. These guys, I might as well not keep them. I'll just kill them. Tianyang glanced at the trembling 7th and 8th elders, shook his head and casually slashed out with his sword. The sword flashed. In an instant, the 2 elders were beheaded and their souls were destroyed. They died under the sword. The energy in their bodies was completely devoured by Tianyang and turned into nourishment for the undying flame to repair his body. Then, Tianyang devoured everything in his surroundings and walked towards the depths of the Blood Buddha sect. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. In the center of the Blood Buddha sect, in the Great Strength Hall, the third elder's face was filled with rage. Veins appeared in his eyes as he roared. Everything in the Blood Buddha sect was controlled by the central Buddha Hall. Therefore, the third elder could clearly see what Tianyang did and how many people he killed. Originally, the third elder thought that Tianyang would die without a doubt if the three elders joined forces. However, the truth had ruthlessly cut a knife into his heart. The fifth elder, sixth elder, seventh elder, and eighth elder were the cornerstones of the Blood Buddha sect. They were the foundation of the sect. Only with the support of these elders would the Blood Buddha sect be able to support it. However, it had only been 10 minutes. The cornerstone of the Blood Buddha sect had already been reduced by half. There were also countless disciples who had died unnatural deaths. All because of one person. No, I can't go alone. That guy could easily kill 3 elders working together. If I go alone, I'll only die. Now, there's only, what happened? As soon as the third elder turned around, a loud voice echoed in his ears. In the next moment, the third elder's expression changed slightly, and then it turned into endless ecstasy. Lord Fogu Venerable, you're here. What happened? A bald monk wearing a blood-red kasaya and holding a black staff said. His eyes seemed to contain an endless sea of blood, and the space of the Blood Buddha sect trembled with every move he made. It's Yang Tian, whom you named to kill. Not only did he kill Lin Tianrong, but he also killed the first disciple you sent out. Then, he killed his way into the Blood Buddha sect. The fifth elder, sixth elder, seventh elder, eighth elder, Deacon Liu, and the others wanted to stop him, but they were all killed. The third elder said hurriedly, his eyes flashing with ecstasy. The Fogu Venerable, who had been in seclusion all this time, had actually come out. He was one of the 3-peak 8th Heaven Ascension Realm deputy leaders of the Blood Buddha sect, someone who could control the Blood Buddha sect's formation. What? The monk in the red kasaya narrowed his eyes when he heard that, and the black staff in his hand slammed on the ground. Dong! The entire hall of great strength began to tremble violently. A series of dull thuds echoed throughout the hall of great strength. That guy didn't stretch out his neck to be executed, and he actually dared to kill his way into the Blood Buddha sect and commit such an outrageous act? The Fogu Venerable said angrily. Yes. The third elder nodded. Then, First elder, it's understandable that the second elder is in seclusion with me and doesn't come out. However, the fourth elder isn't here. As the strongest person, why didn't you make a move? Ah! The third elder was stunned when he heard that. In the next moment, he was greeted by a ray of blood-red light. It was a blood-red light that directly severed his neck. The Blood Buddha sect doesn't need people who drag out an ignoble existence. The Fogu Venerable said coldly. Then, he summoned the third elder's soul, opened his mouth, and swallowed it. I forcefully broke through and suffered some injuries. Now that I've eaten this guy's soul, I feel much better, the Fogu Venerable muttered to himself. Then, he looked at Tianyang, who was calmly walking into the depths of the Blood Buddha sect as if he was taking a stroll in his own backyard. His eyes suddenly emitted rays of blood-red light. They were filled with malevolence and killing intent. This is the person I want to kill? Humph! I asked you to die, but you didn't. You even dared to provoke me. Today, I'll use your soul to help me break through to Ascension Stage 9. The Fogu Venerable snorted coldly. In the next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared on the spot. A violent gust of wind also charged toward Tianyang at this moment. Ascension Stage 8? Tianyang instantly recognized the aura of the newcomer. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he casually slashed out with the All-Heavens sword in his hand. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The sword light tore through the gust of wind and charged toward a dark corner ruthlessly. Bang! Another loud sound rang out as the sword light was shattered by a black staff. At the same time, a blood-robed monk suddenly appeared in the corner. The Fogu Venerable. The Fogu Venerable's eyes were filled with blood-red color. When he saw Tianyang, he immediately charged toward him without saying a word. The staff in his hand released streaks of black and red light. In the next moment, a mysterious incantation gathered at the tip of the staff, releasing a pillar of light that blasted toward Tianyang. Ascension Stage 8. Looks like the Vice Society leader has made his move. Tianyang was not afraid at all. He smiled lightly and slashed out with the All-Heavens sword in his hand. Boom! The All-Heavens sword was a sacred weapon. Not only did it have an extremely strong amplification effect on Tianyang's sword moves, but it was also extremely sturdy. It was incomparably tough. Even a Saint Realm Almighty would not be able to destroy it. Even the great Lord of Heaven had to use a special method of the demon race and go through untold hardships to strike it down from Xintian Wuzuan's hands. At this moment, the attack of a peak ascension stage 8 naturally could not do anything to him. The pillar of light shattered, turning into light dust that filled the sky. In the next moment, the Fogu Venerable's pupils shrank. He discovered that Tianyang had already disappeared from where he stood. At this moment, Tianyang's faint laughter came from behind the Fogu Venerable. Let me guess. It should be the one whose 2 disciples I killed, the Fogu Celestial. Chapter 942. Fogu the Venerable. He was one of the 3 vice lords of the Blood Buddha sect, a peerless expert at the peak of LV8 Ascension Realm. In the northern region of the Donghai state, Ascension Realm experts were considered experts, and those at the peak of LV8 Ascension Realm were considered the pinnacle of the Ascension Realm. Even the governor of the 3rd largest city was only half a step away from Wuzun. At the peak of LV8 Ascension Realm, he was an overlord in the northern region of the Donghai state. At this moment, the overlord had made his move. Fogu Reverend's face turned solemn. It was not easy to deal with the sword. Corpse Buddha Soul. The Buddha Bone Reverend waved the black staff in his hand and a demonic blood Buddha head was formed. It then slammed violently against the sword light. The sword light shattered in response, but it also bought Tianyang some time. Vice Lord, kill that brat! At this moment, a disciple of the Blood Buddha sect who had been trembling in fear at the great hall of the Blood Buddha sect spoke, his face full of anger. He was a disciple of the Blood Buddha sect, and many of the people Tianyang had killed were his family and friends. Therefore, his desire to kill Tianyang was boundless. There's still a Sea of Soul Realm expert alive? Tianyang raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled. That's interesting. Then, Tianyang casually pointed his finger. A ray of light pierced through the void and pierced through the man's forehead. The disciple died instantly. How dare you! Fogu the Venerable was furious. He was fighting fiercely with him, but he was distracted to deal with others? And he even killed his own disciple right in front of his face? He was too arrogant. Soul-devouring demonic Buddha technique. Fogu the Venerable roared. Blood-red true yuan flowed in his meridians. He activated his technique, and his aura rose to the peak. This was a power that even an expert of the same level in the Tianshao Great World could not achieve with their martial souls. Your soul must be the best medicine. Devour it for me. Fogu the Venerable roared. In the next moment, powerful energy gathered on the black staff in his hand. Then, countless blood demon Buddha's heads flew out of the staff and attacked fiercely. Trash! Tianyang spat out 2 words and slashed with the All-Heavens sword. Dozens of blood demon Buddha's heads were cut into pieces. Fogu the Venerable's expression only changed, and he laughed maniacally again. Ha ha! My soul-devouring devil Buddha technique has boundless energy. So what if you can kill dozens of them? Even if you kill hundreds or thousands of them, you won't be able to stop my cultivation method. The Buddha Bones Venerable laughed wildly. His crimson kasaya shone with countless rays of crimson light, bolstering his body. Tianyang smiled. Fogu the Venerable One's worldess of Fogu the Venerable Heavens. Limitless? God Lord, you God. Those who say such words are either peerless mighty figures who can easily destroy the world, or a peerless retard who has a screw loose in his head. Air treading secret technique, cast. 10,000 paths movement. Tianyang's speed soared to the maximum in an instant. Even the sonic boom was not as fast as Tianyang's. When the boom resounded through the clouds, Tianyang's sword was already behind Fogu the Venerable. It's useless. Fogu the Venerable was still laughing maniacally. Even if it's not endless, it's easy to kill you. Second Deputy Sect Leader, Third Deputy Sect Leader, what are you waiting for? Demonic Buddha Sacrificial Formation, activate. Fogu the Venerable laughed. At that moment, purplish-black formation runes appeared under his feet. Tianyang's expression changed slightly. That formation was not ordinary. My sect leader left this formation behind before he left. It's imprinted on this land. No matter how many times you destroy the buildings on the surface, you won't be able to break it. Fogu the Venerable laughed as he formed more and more demonic blood Buddha heads to attack Tianyang, restricting his movements. I alone am enough to kill you. However, for the sake of safety, we even stalled for time so that we could activate this spirit formation. Now, you'll become one of the stepping stones of the Blood Buddha sect. Fogu the Venerable waved his black staff, and thousands of demonic blood Buddha heads formed and shot out. At the same time, he stared at Tianyang as if he wanted to see a trace of panic on his face. However, he was disappointed. Not only was there no trace of panic on Tianyang's face, but there was also a relaxed smile on his face. That's it? You're relying on a half-step to rank 7 formation? If I had known, I wouldn't have used a spell like the reversal formation. I thought it was some powerful formation, so I deliberately slowed down the time to cast the reversal formation. In the end, it's just a half-step to rank 7. What a waste of my time. Tianyang chuckled. Fogu Reverend's face darkened when he heard that. Half-step to rank 7? Reversal formation? You're already talking nonsense when you're about to die? Second Vice Sect Leader, Third Vice Sect Leader, activate the formation and kill this kid. The Fogu Highness yelled. However, strangely, no one responded to him. It was as if the entire Blood Buddha sect had turned into a silent death zone. Tianyang waved his hand. Streams of purplish-black energy appeared in his hand and blasted at Fogu the Venerable. Bang! Cracks began to appear on the Fogu Highness's black staff. Meanwhile, the purple-black runes under the Fogu Highness's feet unleashed eerie vines that wrapped around the Fogu Highness. Are these the death vines of the Demon Buddha sacrificial formation? How is this possible? The reversal formation is a secret technique that reverses the formation. Once the reversal is successful, control will fall into the hands of the person who cast the reversal formation. I've used the reversal formation to reverse the core of your formation. Now, no matter what you do, you won't be able to control the formation at all. Tianyang said with a chuckle. The pupils of the Fogu Reverend shrunk when he heard that. He was in disbelief. How is this possible? Explode. Fogu the Venerable roared and unleashed his true origin, which was at the peak of Heaven Ascension Stage 8. However, as soon as he broke free from one layer of the death vines, another layer of death vines wrapped around him. Fogu the Venerable had no choice but to believe it. How did you do it? How can there be such a secret technique in this world? Fogu Reverend roared in disbelief. Hearing this, Tianyang revealed a mysterious smile at the corner of his mouth. Before I came to this world, there was no such secret technique. Hearing this, the eyes of the Fogu Highness widened. The next moment, Tianyang snapped his fingers. Smack! The death vines shrunk and crushed Fogu the Venerable's body. As for Tianyang, He had killed everyone in the Grand Formation with a casual wave of his hand. He completely devoured the energy. A force without half a step away from Wu Zun. What a piece of trash! Tianyang shook his head and looked at the Demon Buddha sacrificial formation that was completely under his control. Forget it. The sect leader will definitely come back. I'll leave him a gift. Tianyang smiled and extended his hand. Instantly, above the Blood Buddha sect's formation, runes began to crack and disappear. The runes left behind formed the 7 characters of the great Xiantian world that covered the entire Blood Buddha sect. Chapter 943. The next day, by the time Tianyang had left, someone finally noticed the abnormality in the desert and the Blood Buddha sect's situation. They were shocked by the sight of the ruins and corpses strewn all over the place. Isn't this the Blood Buddha sect's territory? How could it be? The man stood in the sky, looking down at the blood-black ruins in disbelief. His voice was hoarse. The Blood Buddha sect was no ordinary faction. It had dominated the Dong Hai state for hundreds of years, and had been attacked by countless experts. It had even caused the major factions of the Dong Hai state to join forces to attack it, but it had remained unscathed. But now, the headquarters of the Blood Buddha sect, the center of the Jiangnan desert that everyone knew, was nothing but ruins. There were also corpses that looked completely unrecognizable. They seemed to have been ground to death. It's over. If the master of the Blood Buddha sect finds out, the entire Dong Hai state will change. The man muttered to himself. Then, with a pale face, he activated his true yuan and flew toward the horizon. He couldn't stay any longer. He had to deliver this news to the important figures of the Dong Hai state. While the man was still in shock and even panicking, Tianyang had already flown back to Jiangbei City. To him, dealing with a group of Peak Ascension Realm Level 8 experts was nothing. Even if Tianyang didn't have the reverse formation technique, he could still destroy the Blood Buddha sect. Although the reverse formation technique can be used to deduce the core of a formation through its trajectory and reverse yin and yang, it takes too much time. Even when I created this heaven-defying formation in my previous life, I didn't use it many times. Only a stupid faction like the Blood Buddha sect would let me succeed. Tianyang muttered to himself. The reverse formation technique was a mysterious secret technique that Tianyang had comprehended when he broke through to the formation Tao Supreme level in his previous life. Through a portion of the formation, he would be able to deduce the entirety of the formation and gain full control over it. It was a pity that this secret technique took too much time and consumed too much of the power of one's soul. Only the Blood Buddha sect, which was one of the weakest factions, and Tianyang, who had the power of the 5th level of the primordial spirit of Wu Zun, whose cultivation base far exceeded his own, could possibly use it in battle. That said, the Blood Buddha sect is truly wealthy. At this moment it was already late at night. Tianyang quietly returned to his room in the Liu family. No one was alarmed. No one knew that Grandmaster Yang, who had shaken Jiangbei and left after killing the Blood Buddha sect's experts, had returned. The earthen Reiki, only a little over 1 million. How poor. They probably used all of it to forge some bullshit Blood Demon Buddha statue. 8 supreme-grade spiritual weapons, 35 high-grade spiritual weapons, and quite a number of mid-grade spiritual weapons and below. And a bunch of crappy cultivation methods and crappy martial skills. How can a top force in the East Sea state be so poor? After checking the loot, Tianyang couldn't help but shake his head. If House Liu and House Zhou were to hear this, they'd be furious. 1 million earthen Reiki wasn't a small sum. Back when Tang Lingfeng of House Tang had taken out 200,000 earthen Reiki, he'd felt the pinch. Although the Blood Buddha sect was large, it only had a little over 100 disciples and a few dozen steward elders. It was strong, but not very influential. Otherwise, it wouldn't have holed itself up in the desert. In terms of wealth, it might not be comparable to Jiangbei City, which was on the same level. 1 million earthen Reiki was enough to crush many aristocratic factions. How could Tianyang be so disdainful? As for the other things, they were priceless treasures to other factions. However, for a lone Tianyang, they were of little value. Forget it. The immortal fire is burning brightly. I'll probably recover my cultivation in a few days. When that happens, I'll be Wu Zun and I'll be able to roam the East Sea State as I please. Tianyang shrugged and put away all the things he'd obtained from the Blood Buddha sect. Even the immortal fire couldn't digest all the energy he'd devoured in one go. Most of the energy was still hidden in the fire and hadn't become a part of it. However, Tianyang's meridians and dantian were recovering rapidly under the effect of the immortal bloodline. At this moment, Tianyang's true origin could already be used at the 6th tier of the Heaven Ascension state. In the battle against the Blood Buddha sect, Tianyang devoured everyone he killed. The immortal fire grew stronger and stronger. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy. Then, Tianyang sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to recover the power of his primordial spirit. The night passed. The news of the Blood Buddha sect's destruction finally reached the East Sea State. Immediately, the entire East Sea State seemed to have been detonated by a bomb. The entire state was shocked. Starting from East Sea City, the largest city, the news spread in all directions like a storm. However, there was still some time before it reached Jiangbei City. I wonder if Master Yang's trip this time is auspicious or ominous. Lu Xiaoyun shook his head. Before the sun rose, he arrived at Tianyang's door. In the 2 or 3 days since Tianyang had left, he'd been cleaning up. However, just as he was about to open the door, he suddenly sensed the energy fluctuations inside. Who is it? Lu Xiaoyun's pupils constricted and his muscles tensed. Someone from the Lu family had come? No one in the Lu family, including Lu Xiaoyun and Lu Fenglu, had sensed this person's arrival. 6th tier of the Heaven Ascension state. It's not Master Yang. Who is it? How dare he sneak into the Lu family? Lu Xiaoyun's expression changed drastically. Then, he walked back with a grave expression. A 6th tier Heaven Ascension state was definitely not someone he could deal with. In the entire Lu family, only his father, Lu Fenglu, could fight a 6th tier Heaven Ascension state. However, was a 6th tier Heaven Ascension state who could sneak into the Lu family really an ordinary 6th tier Heaven Ascension state? Creak. Just then, the door opened. Lu Xiaoyun instantly had goosebumps all over his body. His expression changed drastically, and he immediately rushed back. However, before he turned around, he suddenly saw a familiar face. Master Yang? Lu Xiaoyun said in disbelief. That 6th tier Heaven Ascension state aura was Master Yang. When did Master Yang return? Moreover, when did he break through from 3rd tier Heaven Ascension state to 6th tier Heaven Ascension state? This speed, even a rocket wouldn't be that fast. Weren't you killed by the Blood Buddha sect? Lu Xiaoyun blurted out without thinking. However, just as he opened his mouth, he covered it with his hand. He was already here and he was killed? Rumors were misleading. However, Lu Xiaoyun also breathed a sigh of relief. Since Tianyang was still here, he should have turned back halfway. After all, the Blood Buddha sect was not to be trifled with. Killed. Tianyang raised his brows. He'd only been gone for a few days, and he was already killed? It's what the people from the Sky Qin Palace said recently. They heard. Lu Xiaoyun was just about to explain when a terrifying sound of a zither came from outside. Lu Xiaoyun's expression instantly distorted. At this moment, an unruly voice sounded. Since that Master Yang has already been killed, I won't make things difficult for you. Send the 10 most beautiful women in your family to me, and I'll let your Lu family go. Chapter 944. The sound of the zither was heard, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate. Lu Xiaoyun's expression changed completely. Damn it! This guy is here again. Lu Xiaoyun's face was filled with anger as he subconsciously covered his ears. However, it was useless. The sound of the zither was infused with true yuan and the power of cultivation technique. It was not something that could be blocked with such a simple method. Even if one's ears could not hear it, one's soul would be able to hear it. Who is it? Tianyang raised his eyebrows and snapped his fingers. A crisp sound rang out. Immediately, the sound of the zither was disrupted. The person who was playing the zither stopped and the sound disappeared. What's going on? Tianyang said indifferently. He seemed to have heard something just now. The sound of the zither was useful for people with weak soul power. For people at Lu Fenglio's level, it would be impressive if it could interfere. However, even if the sound of the zither was not very lethal, it had a terrifying effect on people with weak cultivation. Who was so wicked to play this at the entrance of the Lu family's house? It's the Sky Qin Palace, Lu Xiaoyun said, his face full of surprise. Master Yang had only snapped his fingers, and the sound of the zither that had troubled the Lu family for a few days had disappeared? From the sound of it, it seemed that he had stopped himself? On the night you left, the people from the Sky Qin Palace arrived. Tang Qingchuan's position in the Sky Qin Palace was not low. Since he died at your hands, the Sky Qin Palace was very angry and sent 3 experts over. There was one more, the son of the Sky Qin Palace's palace lord, young Master Jiang Feng. Lu Xiaoyun said, his face full of anger. When they arrived and saw that you were not around, they played this demonic sound at the entrance of the Lu and Zhou families. Moreover, they did not hold back at all. Instead, they let the sound of the zither spread even more. Even if it was not the Zhou and Lu families, the commoners living nearby would be disturbed by the sound of the zither. Some commoners even died in their homes because of the sound of the zither. The city lord did not care. Lu Xiaoyun said angrily. At the same time, he was bitterly disappointed. Naturally, he was furious because this group of people from the Sky Qin Palace had the power to kill and seize, not caring about anyone else. He was disappointed because of the city lord of Jiangbei City. As the city lord of Jiangbei City, and the only person in the city who was half a step away from Wu Zun, the city lord of Jiangbei City had an obligation to protect the citizens. Back then, Tianyang had almost been attacked in self-defense. The 3 from the Blood Buddha sect had already killed their way to the entrance of the Lu clan, but Jiangbei City's city lord still didn't care. Now, there were mortals in Jiangbei City who had died at the hands of the Sky Qin Palace, but the city lord of Jiangbei City still turned a blind eye to it. Such a castellan made Lu Xiaoyun and everyone in Jiangbei City feel bitterly disappointed. The Sky Qin Palace was huge, but was Jiangbei City weak? They hadn't even clashed, yet he was already offering his knee. Was this kind of person worthy of being the city lord? The city lord of Jiangbei City? Tianyang narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not the city lord, so he naturally did not care about the lives of the commoners. However, since he was the city lord, he had the responsibility to protect the commoners. 10,000 years ago, as the Sword Emperor, Tianyang was supported by countless experts in the Sky Clouds continent. He fought a bloody battle against the demon race. This was his responsibility. However, the city lord of Jiangbei City completely disregarded his responsibility and only cared about his own interests. That gave me a reason to attack, Tianyang said lightly, then looked outside the Lu clan's entrance. Boom! The Lu clan's entrance seemed to have suffered a heavy blow as it let out a loud, dull sound. Boom! Another loud sound rang out. This door, which was strong enough to withstand the full power attack of a Sea of Soul Realm expert, turned into fragments that filled the sky and shot out explosively. Some servants who were sweeping the floor had just been freed from the zither music when they were hit by the fragments of the door and were almost seriously injured. Jiang Feng, what are you doing again? Seeing this, Lu Xiaoyun was instantly enraged. He rushed to the front of the door and roared at the 3 people who entered. This is the Lu clan, not your Sky Qin Palace. In front of my Sky Qin Palace, the Lu clan is nothing. It's your Lu clan's fortune that I can enter your Lu clan. Faced with Lu Xiaoyun's roar, The young man in the lead had a look of disdain. His gaze moved around the Lu clan as if he was searching for something. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth that had yet to be wiped dry. Hand it over. After searching for nothing, Jiang Feng looked at Lu Xiaoyun fiercely. Quickly hand over the guy who broke my zither music. What? Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun was stunned. Still pretending? Seeing this, Jiang Feng's face instantly darkened. Uncle Wang, go. Beat this guy half to death first. Yes, young master. Behind Jiang Feng, a tall middle-aged man spoke indifferently as he looked down at Lu Xiaoyun indifferently. His figure instantly disappeared from the spot. Lu Xiaoyun's face changed greatly. Just as he was about to release his qi, a heavy punch landed heavily on his chest. Bang! Lu Xiaoyun spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out like a cannonball. At this moment, Jiang Feng also rushed out and grabbed Lu Xiaoyun, sneering. Quickly hand it over. You dare to interrupt my zither music and still dare to fight back? If I don't throw you into a pot of oil and fry you 800 times, I'm not Jiang Feng. You, at this moment, Lu Xiaoyun noticed the blood at the corner of Jiang Feng's mouth. He was extremely shocked. It turned out that the person who played the zither music was not Uncle Wang, but Jiang Feng? No wonder the power was weaker. However, Master Yang only flicked his finger. Breaking the zither music with a flick of his finger was already incredible, but he actually fought back? Master Yang's strength, what level had he reached? Hurry up and tell me. Otherwise I'll kill you first. Seeing that Lu Xiaoyun did not speak, Jiang Feng's face suddenly became ferocious. He threw Lu Xiaoyun away, raised his right leg, and kicked Lu Xiaoyun fiercely. If this kick were to hit the target, even if Lu Xiaoyun did not die, he would have a few broken bones. If I were you, I would break my own legs to apologize. At this moment, a faint young voice sounded. Jiang Feng was alerted and immediately jumped back to prevent Lu Xiaoyun from being kicked. However, he was thrown to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Who are you? Jiang Feng looked at Tianyang, who suddenly appeared behind him like a ghost, and said coldly, How dare you suddenly talk to me? Aren't you afraid that I'll tear you apart? Jiang Feng snorted coldly. Hearing this, Tianyang's face did not change. He smiled slightly and said, Aren't you looking for me? Hearing this, Jiang Feng was stunned. Then, his face suddenly changed and a murderous intent was released. So it's you. Uncle Wang. Go. Break his legs first and then let him talk. Jiang Feng shouted angrily. Hearing this, the tall middle-aged man nodded and instantly attacked Tianyang. However, Tianyang took a step and dodged the tall middle-aged man's attack like a phantom. Then, he looked at Jiang Feng with a smile on his face. He slapped out. Chapter 945. Slap. The crisp sound of a slap echoed throughout the Lu household. Almost everyone could hear this sound. Jiang Feng's right cheek swelled up at a visible speed. His pupils dilated and he was completely stunned. What had he gone through? You! Uncle Wang was instantly enraged. This young man, who came out of nowhere, dared to hit him even though he had already revealed his identity? How dare you hit me? At this moment, Jiang Feng finally reacted. He covered his red and swollen right cheek and roared, Uncle Wang! Kill him! Kill him! Not far away, Lu Xiaoyun, who had just gotten up, couldn't help but smile bitterly. This was indeed Master Yang's style. How dare you touch young Master Jiang? You're digging your own grave. Uncle Wang snorted coldly. Inner yuan gathered in his hand, and the inner yuan of a peak LV7 heavenly completion realm was released. In the next moment, a violent ball of lightning formed and blasted toward Tianyang. Die! Get lost! Tianyang turned around and waved his hand. A ferocious gust of wind burst out like a tornado and shattered the lightning ball, causing it to explode into thunderbolt. Uncle Wang was also sent flying by this casual wave of his hand. Blood spurted from his mouth. Seeing this, Jiang Feng, Lu Xiaoyun, and the young man behind Jiang Feng, who had never spoken, were all stunned. What was going on? Uncle Wang had been his mother's most loyal and powerful bodyguard since childhood. He had caused trouble everywhere with Uncle Wang's power, and had never seen anyone attack him. Even if there had been, Uncle Wang had easily suppressed them. Now, Uncle Wang was the one who had been easily suppressed? I just killed 3 peak LV8 Heavenly Completion Realm Cultivators, and now a peak LV7 Heavenly Completion Realm Cultivator is here? Tianyang withdrew his hand, as if he was swatting an insignificant mosquito, and chuckled lightly. Jiang Feng was about to say something when the tall middle-aged man, Uncle Wang, roared and charged at Tianyang. Don't even think about attacking, young master. Blood Bull Mad Demon Fist. Uncle Wang roared, releasing his true yuan at the peak of the 7th tier of the Heaven Ascension realm. His eyes and pupils were instantly covered in a blood-red color. His average-sized muscles swelled up as though they had exploded. In an instant, Uncle Wang turned from an ordinary middle-aged man into a 2.9-meter-tall muscular man. Die! Uncle Wang roared and threw a punch at Tianyang. Just the aftershock of this punch alone caused the surrounding space to explode inch by inch. The Xiantian world was not like the Tianshao Great World. Its level was much higher and its space was more stable than that of the Tianshao Great World. Therefore, if one wanted to control space and fly in the Xiantian world, one had to be at least in the Sea of Spirit Realm. Even an expert in the Reaching Heaven realm would find it extremely difficult to destroy space. For Uncle Wang to be able to shatter space with a single punch, he could be considered a top expert in the peak of the 7th level of the Heaven Ascension realm. However, no matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat the weakest Heaven Ascension Stage 8. Tianyang shook his head and pointed with a finger. A ray of finger light pierced through the void, shattering Uncle Wang's Blood Bull Mad Demon Fist and hitting Uncle Wang's forehead. The blood-red color in Uncle Wang's eyes receded like flowing water. He retreated a few steps before recovering. His exploding muscles also gradually returned to their original state. He looked at Tianyang in disbelief. What was going on? His Blood Bull Mad Demon Fist was a martial technique that could not be stopped once it was used. An upper-grade Heaven-class martial technique could even destroy an ancient barbaric bull with a single punch. In the end, this young man had just casually pointed at him and caused him to go berserk? Uncle Wang, what are you standing there for? Kill him! Quickly kill him! Jiang Feng shouted. If you don't kill him, I'll get my mother to chase you out of the Sky Qin Palace. Shut up. Just as Tianyang frowned and was about to point at this bullshit young Master Zhang's head, the young man behind Jiang Feng suddenly spoke. The voice was cold, as if it came from 1,000 miles of frozen land. Jiang Feng instantly woke up. His body trembled slightly, then he shut his mouth. It was as if he was very afraid of the young man behind him. Sir, this is the Sky Qin Palace's fault. We've embarrassed ourselves in front of you. At this moment the young man spoke. His voice seemed to have a special magical power that made people involuntarily turn their attention to him. Tianyang raised his eyebrows, showing a trace of interest. This young man's physique was not ordinary. However, you were the one who injured the Sky Qin Palace's young master first. Isn't it a little bad to be so overbearing? The young man said indifferently. Although he looked like he was apologizing, the arrogance in his eyes was not concealed in the slightest. Hearing this, Tianyang's face regained its previous smile. Keeping people 1,000 miles away. Who do you think you are? Tianyang laughed lightly. You dare to speak to me like that? You! The young man seemed to have not expected Tianyang to speak to him in such a manner after he had humbled himself. Young Master Qing is the strongest disciple of the previous generation of the Sky Qin Palace. He's only 130 years old, but he's already cultivated to LV7 of the Heaven Ascension realm. His zither skills are much stronger than the palace master's when he was the same age. He's one of the few geniuses in the East Sea State who can break through to the Wu Zun realm," Uncle Wang said, his face full of anger, as if he could not stand Tianyang's tone of disrespect for the young man. "Yes, Uncle Wang is right. My brother Qing is the strongest genius in the East Sea State. He can kill you thousands of times with a single finger. Hurry up and apologize." Seeing that the young man had his back, Jiang Feng became arrogant again and shouted wildly. That was why he did not say anything about breaking his own legs. This guy had good judgment. If he said anything more, he might lose his life. The young man did not speak, but his arrogant eyes betrayed his attitude. The strongest genius in the East Sea State? Hearing that, the corner of Tianyang's mouth twitched. Was the East Sea State so weak? However, Tianyang did not bother to say more. He waved his right hand and a terrifying gust of wind swept out. "How dare you!" The young man's face darkened. Vital essence condensed between his hands, turned into strings, and began to strum. The sound of the zither rang out, and it seemed to have turned into an indestructible shield, blocking Tianyang's gust of wind. "This is the zither skills? Interesting." Tianyang raised his eyebrows. "But I still have to break it." Boom! The young man grunted, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He took a few steps back, his face pale. He looked at Tianyang in disbelief. How could his zither skills be broken so quickly? Before he could finish thinking about it, he suddenly realized that his body seemed to be out of control. The next moment, he was pulled to Tianyang's side, and his whole body was tied up by invisible ropes. "Go back and tell your palace master that I, Yang Tian, kidnapped these two people." Chapter 946. If you want to redeem them, then get your palace master to come here personally, Tianyang said with a smile. Uncle Wang, Jiang Feng, and the youth at LV7 Heaven Ascension Realm were all stunned. "What did you say?" Uncle Wang said in disbelief. Did this guy know what level the palace master of the Sky Qin Palace was? Wu Zun Realm LV1. Such a peerless expert usually lived in seclusion in the paradise of the Sky Qin Palace, which was enough to terrify the entire East Sea State. Now, this guy wanted her to come here personally? Was he tired of living? I don't want to say it a second time. If you don't come, then just wait to collect your corpse. Tianyang's face turned cold as he said indifferently. At this moment, he had successfully ignited the undying flame and was recovering from his injuries at every moment. Wu Zun Realm was no longer a threat to him. After all, when he was at the peak of the half-step Wu Zun Realm, he could use all his trump cards and kill the illusory image of the great Lord of Heaven, who was far stronger than an ordinary Wu Zun Realm LV1, and kill the Demon Emperor. Now Wu Zun had passed the most terrifying heavenly tribulation in history. His strength was much stronger than before. An ordinary Wu Zun Realm LV1 might not be Tianyang's match. The Sky Qin Palace Master was naturally one of them. How dare you! Uncle Wang's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and looked at Tianyang. At this moment, Jiang Feng and young Master Qing were bound by Tianyang's vital essence rope. From the strength Tianyang had shown, it was impossible for Uncle Wang to break free. Unless Uncle Wang and Tianyang waited here until Jiang Feng and young Master Qing were killed, Uncle Wang had no other choice. Why wouldn't I dare? Tianyang said with an indifferent expression. A sharp blade of vital essence condensed between his hands. It gave off a sharp aura that made people tremble in fear. Coupled with Tianyang's courage and boldness, it was hard to think of a reason why Tianyang would not attack. Good. I'll go back now, but whether the palace lord comes or not is not something I can influence. The situation was stronger than the person. Looking at the current situation, if he continued to stay here, he might even die here. He might as well go back. At that time, even if he couldn't get the palace master to help, he could get the Grand Supreme Elder, who was half a step away from Wu Zun, to kill this Yang Tian easily. Yang Tian? Your Grandmaster Yang? Uncle Wang came back to his senses. His expression changed drastically as he said in disbelief, I'm Yang Tian. Tian Yang chuckled. Hearing this, Uncle Wang's face darkened. Good, good, good. He killed the palace lord's disciple and even attacked the palace lord's son. He even locked up our Sky Qin Palace's prodigy of the previous generation. How many years has it been since a madman like you has appeared in the East Sea Prefecture? Don't regret it when I return. Uncle Wang snorted heavily. Then, he activated his vital force and soared into the sky. He couldn't stay in Jiangbei City any longer. Watching Uncle Wang leave, Tianyang's cold expression gradually returned to normal. After all, it was just a Wu Zun force. What was there to be afraid of? Grandmaster Yang, how should we deal with these people? Lu Xiaoyun, who already knew Tianyang's temperament, didn't ask any more nonsense. Instead, he looked at the two people from the Sky Qin Palace who had been tied up by Tianyang and couldn't use their vital force. One was the palace lord's son, and the other was the Sky Qin Palace's prodigy. It would be troublesome to deal with them. Strip them naked and throw them into the stable or pigsty. Your Lu family has a dungeon, Tianyang said nonchalantly, completely disregarding the two of them. These two people had offended him. Tianyang was already giving face to the Lu family by not killing them directly. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to extort some money from the Sky Qin Palace and settle some grudges, Tianyang would have killed them long ago. Okay. Lu Xiaoyun nodded without even thinking about it. Hearing this, Jiang Feng's pupils shrank and he roared, What do you want to do? Even if I, Jiang Feng, die, I won't stay with an animal. He had been pampered since young and used his mother's power to bully others. Wherever he went, he ate delicacies and drank fine wine. When did he fall to the level of having to be with an animal? He wasn't willing. Then you can go die now, Tianyang said lightly. Lu Xiaoyun chuckled. I can give you a knife. Jiang Feng. As for young Master Qing, he didn't say anything from the beginning to the end. He only glanced at Tianyang coldly when Lu Xiaoyun grabbed him. You'll regret it. No, you'll die a horrible death. Xiaoyun, the pigsty. Okay. Young Master Qing. How dare you? Clouds and mist were faintly discernible. At the peak of the tallest mountain, the armrest of the chair was instantly smashed into pieces. In the palace, a graceful woman dressed in gorgeous palace clothes had a furious expression. Wu Zun's cultivation of first stage erupted in all directions. This was the Sky Qin Palace. The Sky Qin Palace was in a small world in the East Sea State. It was extremely far from Jiangbei City. Jiang Feng and the others could go there quickly because they were nearby. Uncle Wang naturally couldn't go back to the Sky Qin Palace to send a message, so he could only use a communication token. However, even if it was just a few words on the communication token, it made the woman in the palace dress furious to the extreme. My son should have said that he is my son, a member of the Sky Qin Palace. Moreover, the strongest genius of the previous generation of the Sky Qin Palace, Qing Wu, was with him. Not to mention a family in Jiangbei City, even the strongest family in Donghai City would have to give face to the Sky Qin Palace. The person who attacked is just a so-called master with no background and no background. He actually dares to touch my son and threaten me? The woman in the palace dress said slowly. Her seemingly calm tone was suppressing her anger that could not be suppressed at all. At this moment, the communication token rang again. The woman in the palace dress picked it up and glanced at it. Grand Elder? Not bad, 9th stage Heaven Ascension Realm. He should be able to easily kill that ignorant Yang Tian. At that time, I will let everyone in the East Sea State see this person's corpse. I will use the blood of the entire Lu family to quell my anger. The woman in the palace dress roared. Instantly, the huge palace began to tremble. The entire small world trembled. Wu Zun's power was terrifying. Ninth stage Heaven Ascension Realm. After waiting for 3 days, I got a piece of trash? Tianyang picked his ears and looked at the Sky Qin Palace Grand Elder, who had been beaten to a pulp by his 3 sword strikes. He formed a rope of true energy to help him. He tapped a few times on his body and sealed his meridians, preventing him from using any of his cultivation. Xiaoyun, send him to Jiang Feng and Qing Wu. Okay. Lu Xiaoyun appeared out of nowhere and skillfully grabbed the Sky Qin Palace Grand Elder by the neck, then ran toward the Lu family's dungeon. Naturally, the Lu family could not raise pigs. Tianyang had no choice but to send them to the dungeon. You better get your palace master to come quickly. Otherwise, I can't guarantee when I'll be in a bad mood and want to kill a few people to vent my anger. Tianyang glanced at Uncle Wang, who was trembling with fear. P.S. Some people are asking why I've been updating so late these days. I'm also very helpless. There are many things to do during the new year. I went to visit relatives for a day, and it took me an hour to write 3 chapters. Sometimes, when there are too many things to do, I have to use up my saved chapters. When my saved chapters run out, I'm doomed. Chapter 947. Say, not only did that Grandmaster Yang disregard my words, he even taught the first elder a lesson. Now, even the great elder has been captured by Master Yang? The Sky Qin Palace. The palace master of the Sky Qin Palace, who had always been calm, had a gloomy expression. A suffocating, oppressive atmosphere spread around her. Ever since she had become a Wu Zun cultivator and led the Sky Qin Palace to dominate the entire East Sea Prefecture, how long had it been since such a crazy person had appeared? Time and time again, he had disrespected the Sky Qin Palace. He had given the palace master of the Wu Zun cultivator a few hard slaps in the face. Palace master, why don't you let me do it? My ability is definitely not something that the great elder can compare to. Perhaps the great elder was caught by Master Yang because of a moment of carelessness. With my half-step Wu Zun cultivation, dealing with Master Yang will be a piece of cake. When the time comes, I'll send him to you and let you cut off that arrogant boy's head with your own hands. An old man said. With the defeat of the great elder, the entire Sky Qin Palace knew about this matter. After all, Tianyang had attacked without the slightest scruple, right in front of the Lu family's gate. Now, many forces in the East Sea Prefecture that were at the same level as the Sky Qin Palace, or slightly weaker, were waiting to see the Sky Qin Palace make a fool of itself. A force at the level of Wu Zun couldn't do anything to a mere reaching heaven state. What was this? Some disciples of the Sky Qin Palace, who went out to train, even automatically became inferior to others because of this matter, which infuriated the entire Sky Qin Palace. They vowed to kill Tianyang and leave his corpse for 10 days and 10 nights to let the entire East Sea Prefecture see the power of the Sky Qin Palace once again. That's right. Supreme Elder's strength has improved again in the recent years. It is no longer comparable to before. With the great Elder's strength, he can definitely kill that Master Yang easily and bring glory to the Sky Qin Palace. Palace Master, please send the great Elder to do it. Below, a group of elders spoke one after another. In their eyes, Tianyang was just a piece of trash that had suddenly jumped out. Being able to defeat the first elder was already his limit. Perhaps the city lord of Jiangbei City was also behind this. How powerful was the supreme elder? Wouldn't it be easy for him to deal with a young man? Shut up. However, to everyone's surprise, the palace master of the Sky Harp Palace scoffed coldly at the elder's suggestion, and Wu Zun released the pressure of a Tier 1 cultivator. That Grandmaster Yang, didn't you ask me to go personally? Then, this consort will do as he wishes. At that time I will arrive. What can this guy do then? Hearing that, the elders of the Sky Qin Palace were stunned. Then, a trace of joy appeared on their faces. Wu Zun, the palace lord of the First Realm, had personally made a move. Who dared to continue being arrogant? I wish Milady Asgard master a great victory and suppress Shao Town from all directions. The group of elders voiced their opinions. Oh? You're saying that the heavenly Qin Palace's palace lord is finally willing to come out? In the Lu family's dungeon, Tianyang raised his eyebrows and chuckled. What? Before Lu Xiaoyun, who sent the news, could respond, Jiang Feng's eyes lit up. My mother is coming? Ha ha ha. Just wait for your deaths. My mother is a first-class powerhouse in the East Sea state. She can kill you thousands of times with a flip of her hand. At that time, not only will you die, but the entire Lu family and even the entire Jiangbei city will die. Jiang Feng laughed maniacally. In less than a week, the psychological trauma it brought to him was too great. He originally thought that as the son of the Sky Qin Palace Master, the Lu family would definitely not do anything to him. Even if he was sent to prison, he would definitely be treated well. After all, he was the son of Wu Zun. In the end, the truth was the exact opposite of what he imagined. Tianyang mentioned a pigsty and stable, and Lu Xiaoyun followed Tianyang's words faithfully and gave Jiang Feng a pigsty and stable environment. Qin Wu was fine. After all, she was a young genius of the generation and still had some self-control. Other than a few threatening words from time to time, she sat there quietly and cultivated. However, Jiang Feng had never truly experienced any hardships since he was a child. Even if he had seen blood, it had been from his own hands. Aside from that slap from Tianyang, he had never shed a single drop of blood. Now that the environment had become so bad, how could he bear it? I don't care how strong your mother is. If you say another word, I'll kill you right now. Lu Xiaoyun glared at Jiang Feng, making him mute. Although the Sky Qin Palace Master was powerful, Tianyang was not weak either. Jiang Feng had seen with his own eyes how the Grand Elder was instantly killed by Tianyang and sent to be his neighbor. Now, this neighbor was still seriously injured and unconscious. Fortunately, he was at LV9 Heaven Ascension state, or he might have starved to death. You? When my mother comes, I'll make you beg for death. Jiang Feng snorted coldly, then closed his eyes and tiptoed to a corner of the dungeon. Due to fear, the place Jiang Feng stayed the most was this corner furthest from the door. This place was originally full of mud and water, but now it was almost spotless after being wiped clean by Jiang Feng's clothes. As you wish. Tianyang shrugged and walked out of the dungeon. He only wanted to see if these 3 hostages were still alive. If they were dead, he would not be able to extort so much. In the past few days, Tianyang had completely refined all the energy he had absorbed from the Blood Buddha sect and injected it into the Undying Fire. The Undying Fire had also repaired about 60% of Tianyang's meridians. The cultivation he could unleash was not inferior to that of an ordinary LV8 Heaven Ascension state. The vital essence of a LV8 Heaven Ascension state, the power of Wu Zun's LV5 Primordial Spirit, and a terrifying physical body that surpassed supreme-grade spiritual weapons. With Tianyang's current strength, he could fight 300 rounds against a half-step Wu Zun. Against a LV1 Wu Zun, he could also exchange a few blows. So what if the palace master of the Sky Qin Palace did not care about her son's life and attacked? He could just kill Jiang Feng, Qing Wu, and the Sky Qin Palace's Grand Elder, then take the Lu family to the Sky Qin Palace's old house at light speed. Just as Tianyang's mind was filled with thoughts, a high-pitched but trembling voice suddenly came from the Lu family's main gate. In the next moment, a terrifying pressure that far surpassed all the experts in Jiangbei City was released. It enveloped the entire Lu family. The palace master of the Sky Qin Palace has arrived. I'm here. Master Yang, why don't you come out and meet me? As soon as the servant's voice came, a haughty female voice quickly followed. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled and stepped out. He had already arrived at the Lu family's main gate. At the Lu family's main gate, the servant guarding the gate was already paralyzed with fear. beside him, the palace master of the Sky Qin Palace was dressed in a gorgeous palace robe.